The Coca-Cola 600 has become America's gathering place every Memorial Day weekend. One of the hottest tickets in sports. And if you can't be one of the 200,000 people to be here in person, you can see it on Fox. It's a one-of-a-kind race that combines speed, endurance, and strategy.
And down here on pit road is where a lot of that strategy will start to play out. From atop this mobile command post, a lot of key decisions will be made tonight. And if you want to get to victory lane, the only thing standing in your way is 400 laps, 600 miles of an ever-changing racetrack.
All right, Henry, buddy, we got 600 miles. We got 4 hours. Listen, Hammond's dependent on it. He's got it all figured out. We can either be a part of this show or, Henry, we can be the show. Come on, buddy. Me and you. I'll take care of you. You take care of me. Right back here at the end of the night.
Fox Sports welcomes you to one of Stock Car Racing's great events. On America's highways, it's the start of the summer driving season. These fans have parked themselves here to watch 600 miles of unscripted speed, drama, and excitement in the Coca-Cola 600. The Lowe's Power of Pride pre-race show is brought to you by Lowe's, improving home improvement, and glad to have you with us. Our corporate headquarters, the Hollywood Hotel, located across from the start-finish line. We go to where the races are, trying to bring you a little bit closer to the action. Hi, I'm Chris Myers. Hope you're enjoying this holiday weekend in which we honor those who have served our country, and you're going to see plenty of patriotism displayed at this racetrack this evening. And because of rain in the Charlotte area, the start of the Coca-Cola 600 has been moved up a bit. We're ready for you. We're going to take you right up to the start of the race. And to help us do that, the usual cast of characters, Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Hammond. They both had success at this racetrack. What is this, 400, 500 miles? What does this extra 100 miles do to the drivers in the race we watch?
Well, I tell you what, I've known that a lot of the drivers are doing now. They're taking IVs. I mean, they're putting extra fluids in their bodies. They're watching their diet. I mean, they've been resting all day long. So they're ready for this late evening start in a 4-hour race. Physically, it's real demanding on the driver. You have to stay mentally alert. That's the big problem.
And, Darrell, I hope you've been taking your IV for today. We got a long race in front of us, but the one thing you're going to worry about right now is that last 100 miles and that one-engine rule. For a lot of these teams, that's going to be pushing the envelope as far as the limit of these engines, so it could come back to bite in the last 100 miles.
All right, some of the strategy for the drivers, over $5.5 million to be handed out tonight. For the fans, getting a ticket for this race, priceless. Dick Bergman, whose birthday is Tuesday, cleaned himself up, and he's styling upstairs in the Speedway Club.
This is the place to watch the races. This is the Speedway Club at Lowe's Motor Speedway, high above the front straightaway. Kind of a fancy place, upper socioeconomic, so I wore a tie so I sort of fit in. I'm not a member. You're supposed to be a member here. Folks, you mind if I join you? Yeah, okay, good. So, if you're kind of hook in with somebody else.
Here's the cherry temper that you ordered.
Well, thank you very much. Gee, could I get a little more cherry juice in that, please?
It would be my pleasure, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Sir, here is your gourmet meal that you have today. I hope you enjoy it.
Wow, the service.
I can get for you. Okay.
Oh, this is wonderful. The service here is much better than in the garage.
Good afternoon, folks. How's everything?
Everything's wonderful.
Very good. I enjoyed it 100.
Well, if you guys don't mind, I think instead of working pit road tonight, I'm just going to hang around here and watch the race from the Speedway Club.
Dick, the Speedway Club is fine for the wine and cheese crowd, but I'm down here with the hardcore fans in the infield, the kindred spirits. Fans from all 50 states and 13 countries have bought tickets. Take a look at these accommodations. We have a van, Big Daddy. It's the ultimate entertainment center. We have seating for 8. We have the endless buffet. We have beverages of any choice. We also have games. Now, this is the famous can toss behind the white line, right? If I can get into the can, everybody here has to pay me $1. Here we go. Oh, well. A lot of these same fans were here a week ago when Jimmie Johnson walked away with just one, with $1 million.
Jimmie Johnson will have a lot of work to do if he wants to add to that $1 million deposit slip already earned from last week. You have to go to the back due to an engine change. With weather concern, Jimmy, how long before you push the button, and how long do you stay patient?
We've got to be patient the whole way. It's a long race. The halfway point's a long ways away anyways, so we just got to take our time. Burton, hang out with Burton a little bit. Start back there with you. You're going to start all back there? You're going to punch some holes? We're going to have fun. Everybody knows we've got a great race car, and hopefully we stay out of trouble and get to the front.
Quickly looking behind you, see all these people here tonight. What feeling does it give you seeing all the excitement building?
It's unbelievable, and we're in our house. We're at Lowe's house, so it's Lowe's house. So I can't wait to get out there.
Well, the good news for Jimmie Johnson, the past 3 Coca-Cola 600 winners have all started 18th or worse. That's good news because he starts at the back. Bill Elliott, how about your shot tonight?
Houston, Texas.
I don't know. You know how these deals go. If you get yourself in the right place at the right time, you got a good shot. We got to get the Dodge to the front.
And he's got an injured wing at that, but keep an eye on Bill Elliott as well. Chris?
And Bill Elliott, 3 broken bones in his left foot, battling the flu. He's going to try and go 600 miles. Last year's champ, Mark Martin, started 25th, the furthest from the back of the pack. He came through to win, but that's something that might be a little bit different in this race.
Well, it is. The track's green. I mean, we've had a lot of rain. It's washed all the rubber off of it. That's going to be a problem for Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson better trade that uniform in for some coveralls because he's got a lot of work to do tonight.
They definitely got to be focused. If they want to make it from the back to the front, they've got to be focused.
Last 5 times in this race, the leader at the 500-mile mark did not end up winning the race, so you don't know what's going to happen. It's been a busy day for Robbie Gordon. Yes, he has arrived. He started the day on the front row in Indianapolis, and then, of course, he had problems with his transmission in that race, but Gordon flew here to Charlotte. He missed the mandatory 3:30 driver meeting, so he starts in the Coca-Cola 600 from the back of the field. We caught up with Robbie before this weekend, before he went to the Indy 500.
I'm fortunate enough to drive for a team like Singular Wireless and Richard Childress that understands that I still have passion for the Indy 500. And I do it because I can. If I wasn't competitive or wasn't in the right situation where I felt we could win, I probably wouldn't do it. I actually feel like I was probably born about 30 years too late because Mario Andretti drove sprint cars, NASCARs, won the Daytona 500. He's won the IndyCar Championship. Now it's like you have to be so focused and you have to just live one sport. And I just don't believe that's true. This time we will take an IV before the Indy 500 and an IV after the Indy 500. That'll be 2 more IVs than I've taken last year. I think the key to winning a Winston Cup championship is being a fighter all day long and not giving up. And that's kind of where we're at right here. You know, if we win the Indy 500, the only way I score points in Winston Cup is to come back and start this car. We're 13th in the championship right now. We'd like to be inside the top 10 to get out of Charlotte. There's 15 guys that can win the race on Sunday there at the Indy 500. Here at Winston Cup, we know 20 guys can win week in and week out. The key to winning both races is being around at the end, and that's kind of our mindset for the Coca-Cola 600 and the Indy 500 is be there at the end of the race.
And at the end of Indy, he was 22nd with transmission problems, but he's here in Charlotte now trying to go 600 miles. 4th time he's doing the double thing. And here's how far 600 miles is. You go 600 miles from Charlotte, and you can say hi to John Gruden in Tampa, and then George Steinbrenner can fire you in New York, and then in Indianapolis, you would be starting on the front row for the Indy 500. You know, Tony Stewart tried that before, and he was the former points champ from last year, not doing as well this year. Can he turn it around tonight?
I think so, Chris. I mean, he was really strong last week at Winston. I really think they've got a great car right now. He and his team seem they're very, very focused and very pumped up about tonight.
And Ryan Newman on the pole.
It better be hello Newman tonight. Because I tell you, I'm pulling for him, and we know he's fast. What he's got to do is calm down, focus on driving this thing. 600 miles, that's what he needs to focus on tonight. Stay out of trouble, run 600 miles.
Yeah, he has failed to finish in 3 of his last 4 races, but he's got that degree in engineering from Purdue. I'm sure he'll put that to work.
Plus, he's got that attitude. Look at him.
Got that attitude for sure. And hey, talk about 600 miles going to Tampa. Well, 60 yards from right here to the hotel will get you to victory lane, and that's more important.
All right, the Roush Racers, they've won the last 4 Coca-Cola 600s. Matt Kenseth is our current points leader. He has been for 8 straight races. Of course, Mark Martin won it last year. Jeff Hammond, what's the key to this group, and what kind of chance do these drivers have this evening?
I think it's a combination of a couple things. Number one, their leader, Jack Roush, he understands how to make these engines live 600 miles. That's the key. If you want to win, you got to get to the end. All right,
and Darrell, does a veteran driver and crew, are they more likely to have success in this, given the wear and tear and the assessing of the miles?
I always felt like that the good drivers, the drivers that win the race all the time, they got that 6th sense. They know how hard to push a car, but don't push it over the edge. That's the key tonight, Chris, is drive it hard, but don't kill it.
You got to have that experience. That's right. That's how you got
5 times.
5 times.
All right, let's. Jeff Gordon, by the way, has won 3 times. Let's. Who do you guys like tonight? Well, let's show you how you guys have been doing in the standings after 11 races. This is the 1/3 mark of the season Larry McReynolds is leading. Then you see DW and Jeff Hammond. And who do they like? Well, Joe Nemechek is Larry Mack's pick. DW going to go with Ryan Newman. No wonder you're talking so nicely about him. And Jeff, Sterling Marlin hasn't won a race this year.
Hey, it's his time. I believe tonight could be that night.
Ryan Newman hadn't finished the race this year, so we're out on a limb with that saw going, boys.
Real quick, what does the guy leading halfway say to himself when he's sitting in the car this race?
That's the worst thing you can do is realize when it's halfway they do that. You say, oh, no.
All right, well, we appreciate your time. We thank you for watching Lowe's Power of Pride pre-race show. In a few moments, finalists from American Idol are going to sing our national anthem. This holiday weekend, a time for Americans to barbecue, picnic, and attend sporting events. Also, the first Memorial Day that follows the war in Iraq. And as we get set to go racing to honor members of the armed forces who paid the ultimate price, some of NASCAR's best. Remember those who throughout American history have served their country. Then, as now, the words ring true.
The one and only NASCAR on Fox welcomes you to Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. Just northeast of there, Lowe's Motor Speedway. And today's Coca-Cola 600, the longest oval track race in the world. On this weekend, the most solemn of American holidays, we honor the memory of so many men and women who gave their lives to win, preserve, and protect the freedoms that we hold so deeply. And one of the ways we honor them, amongst the parades and solemn salutes at cemeteries, is to gather here, 200,000 strong, to watch 43, the very best drivers in America, enjoy one of the great freedoms that they have as Americans, the freedom to pursue their dreams. With many members of the U.S. military on hand and some on the sides of these cars, they get set to go into a battle of their own. The stakes are nowhere near so high as gaining and preserving freedom. But to these drivers and these crews and to the fans that so fervently follow them, today is the biggest day of their summer. Lowe's Motor Speedway filled to near capacity and ready for today's opening ceremonies.
Here now to perform Amazing Grace, please welcome Master Sergeant Gunn, a member of the Band of the United States Air Force Reserve from Robins Air Force Base, Georgia. As we honor America this Memorial Day weekend, let us pause and remember the men and women who sacrificed their lives to protect our freedom and preserve our Constitution. To perform tap, please welcome Technical Sergeant Kenneth Tremmons from the Band of the United States Air Force Reserve, Robins Air Force Base, Georgia. And as we celebrate 100 years of flight, which originated right here in North Carolina, it is appropriate to salute the B-2 stealth bomber from the 509th Bomb Wing at Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri. Its wingspan of 172 feet is longer than Wilbur Oval's Wright's first flight of just over 120 feet. Let's give them a big round of applause for that great B-2. You simply know them as the American Idols. Here, 7 of the 10 finalists to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, yet proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet
Ladies and gentlemen, the American Idols. And race fans, you're part of history today with the first ever flyby from the United States Air Force Thunderbirds at a NASCAR event. Special thanks to Buddy Arthur from the 118th Air Support Operations Squadron for his assistance on the ground. And race fans, the time has finally arrived. Here to give the command to start the 44th running of the Coca-Cola 600, please welcome South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's historic flyby was the first ever NASCAR appearance to the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds. Thank you, Air Force. Thank you, Thunderbirds. And now let's join their team commander, Lieutenant Colonel McSpaden, to take us to the command.
Good afternoon, race fans, from the lead cockpit of the United States Air Force Thunderbirds. We're proud to be with you here today in Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600. Now, after a short countdown, please join me in the most famous command in motorsports. 3, 2, 1. Gentlemen, start your engines.
The engines have fired along pit road. The Thunderbirds blaze across the sky. A rainbow above the back straightaway. And we are set to enjoy the freedom to run 600 miles on NASCAR on Fox. Welcome to Lowe's Motor Speedway. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and 5-time Coke 600 winner Darrell Waltrip. You've been coming here for 30 years. What makes this race so special?
One thing's that rainbow they saw over there. You know, $1 million last week and probably close to $300,000 tonight. A lot of money here at this race, a lot of prestige. It's everybody's home track. Everybody feels like they got a home court advantage. and they want to defend that.
And it's a long, tough night for crew chiefs.
Well, it is. I mean, this is probably one of the most track temperature, weather-sensitive racetracks we go to. We run a lot of races at night. We run a lot of races in the day. But this one, you heard Dale and Jeff talking about it. We started in the daylight, and we ended at night. And it's going to go through some serious transitions about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And even if your car's working good, Mike, you know you have to make adjustments on it to keep up with this ever-changing track.
Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, proud sponsor of the Bud Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Winston Cup race, Ryan Newman. 10th career Bud Pole and 9th in the last 2 seasons since 1979. Anheuser-Busch has awarded more than $8 million as title sponsor of the Pole Award program. And there are the drivers who have won Bud Poles so far this year. Let's have a look at the starting lineup with Newman sharing the front row with Elliott Sadler in a Ford. Mike Skinner's best effort of the year, 4th. 3rd, Jeff Gordon, 4th. Jack Sprague's best career start, 5th. Winston Cup champ Tony Stewart. Joe Nemechek, another Hendrick Chevy. Dave Blaney in a Ford. Michael Waltrip Chevy. Johnny Benson's Pontiac. All 4 makes in the top 10 with Bobby Labonte and Kurt Busch. Take a look further back where some of those Roush cars will start that have been so dominant here in recent years. There's Kenseth, the point leader, in 18th, and Mark Martin, last year's winner of this race. Dale Jr., who wants to take that point lead for the first time in his career. Bill Elliott, nursing 3 broken toes in his foot, will start 32nd. And there are the provisional starters. 3 drivers failed to qualify. Virginia's Hermie Sadler, New York State's Brett Bodine, and from Washington State, Derek Cope.
There you see right there, qualifying differential from 1st to 36, right at 3/4 of a second, 400 laps, 600 miles. That pit window 60 to 65 laps. And looking back at the starting lineup, row 19, Jimmie Johnson, he'll have to go to the rear of the field. Lost an engine as he went out to qualify. Robbie Gordon, as you heard him talk about, missed the driver's meeting. He'll go to the rear of the field as well.
Let's go to the Dean of Pit Road reporters, Dick Berggren.
Since Ryan Newman won in Texas now nearly 2 months ago, he's had fast cars and nothing but trouble. Blown engines, crashes, even a rear-end gear failing while he's running up front. Tonight, he starts up front again. His task, finish there. Steve Burns.
Dick Berggren, this is a special track for a special driver. Jeff Gordon won his very first Winston Cup pole here in 1993. He has 43 of those. He won his very first Winston Cup race here in 1994. He's gone on to win 62 times, including 4 victories here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Matt Yoakum.
Well, Steve, Bobby Labonte also won his first Winston Cup victory right here in the Coca-Cola 600. Would love to add another. He enters Charlotte on the heels of a huge wave of momentum. 3 straight second-place finishes. His crew chief, Michael Fatback Swain, he's been playing the guessing game and the waiting game all day concerning the weather. Finally, the only change they made all day is to tighten up the race car just a tick with air pressure. They feel like they've got a great race car. They're hoping to outdistance and outrace the weather on their changes tonight. Mike?
You know, Mike, Larry, we keep making a big deal out of Jimmie Johnson having to go to the back. That's bad news, obviously, but the good news is he's got a fresher piece under the hood than everybody else does. That could pay off at the end of 600 miles.
Yeah, I mean, most of these teams, they already have 100 miles on their engines because of practice yesterday and in what they went through on qualifying day.
So there's Johnson, who will start this race out back. New to Winston Cup this season, the McDonald's drive-through challenge, fueled by Powerade. 3 weeks ago at Richmond, Jeff Burton's Citgo 14 banked the $20,000 as the first eligible team to spend the least amount of time along the pit lane. There are the season-long standings. The winner among the participating teams will get $200 grand at season's end. The weather will be a factor. It has rained on and off here throughout the afternoon. In fact, the Concord, North Carolina area has had 5 inches of rain in just the last couple of days.
But I'm going to tell you what, Mike, Darrell, that right there, that's what we're going to watch the closest, 88 degrees. That's about 15 degrees warmer than any of the practice sessions yesterday. And, Darrell, I think you mentioned this earlier. This racetrack is totally different from what these guys practice on. That hard rain last night, these cars, they're going to slide around. There's no rubber on the racetrack right now.
Real nightmare for the engine tuners, too. Humidity's really high right now, and these conditions are a little different than what they've had all weekend. So, again, I just stress the engines. I know when I'm driving, and that's what I worry about the most. Not my handling, not my engine. Let it last.
They've added a pace lap or two here, and the reason is the weather. It rained here during the drivers' meeting 2 hours ago and for a short time thereafter. The jet dryers have been out drying the track, and to complete the job, a couple of extra pace laps at increased speed to try to get a little more heat into the racing surface.
Yeah, they'll pick the pace up a little here. They were doing about 55. They'll probably get up to about 80, maybe 90 miles an hour. That just gets all the little weepers that the track has in it. They'll get those dried up, get a little heat in the tires so the cars are sticking good when they do drop the green flag.
Larry, we're going to see sun, we're going to see shade in these next 2 hours before we transition to nighttime.
Yeah, I mean, it's right about that 7:30, 8 o'clock. There you see they're running about 85 to 90 miles an hour. That transition is the one that you really dread having to go through, because that's about the point in time of the last 100 or 200 miles of this thing. You don't want to under-adjust, but you don't want to over-adjust either.
One of the things that really drives you crazy here in that transition hour is the sun. As you come into turns 3 and you start in the middle of 3 off 4 there, you're looking straight into the sun over the top of the grandstand, and it can really, really be a blind spot. You see the sun shining in, who is that? Jeff Gordon right there. Or that's Kenny Wallace, sorry.
But if you notice, he's got a clear shield on. The reason, you're just going to have to live with that, Darrell, for a few hours here, because you need that clear shield for when the sun goes down.
But you can see him squinting as he went through. You see he's kind of squinting his eyes, and that really it messes with you in the race.
Wonder if maybe he's got a tinted tear-off on the windshield.
Well, I don't know. A lot of times, I know Davey would do this, Davey Allison. He would put a pair of sunglasses on to start this race and then take them off under caution once the sun went down. There he'd have his clear shield.
Or you could be Richard Petty, and you drove in sunglasses all day and all night.
With a rag hanging out of your mouth.
Ricky Rudd carrying, as many of these teams are, Air Force insignia on board. All of the Hendrick teams, as we look from Rusty Wallace, are carrying a fighter squadron insignia from the USS Nimitz on each of those cars. And here is Mike Wallace. Talked with Jay Fry today, their team manager, and he's had several conversations with Jerry Nadeau. Nadeau's been calling him on the cell phone. How's the car going? How are we doing? And the best news I heard was just the other day, Jerry's coach driver was on the way up to the hospital in Richmond. Jerry rang him up on the cell phone and said, hey, pick up some ice cream on your way.
How about that?
He's progressing well, and I think his release from the hospital in Richmond will come sooner rather than later. There's not an exact timetable, but they're starting to make preparations for Jerry Nadeau to come home.
And I'll tell you something else, Mike, Larry. Riding around here right now is really good for the drivers. It gives you a chance to calm down and get focused, and you get to talk to the crew a little bit, get some conversation going, and it takes a little of the edge off when you get ready to drop the green flag.
There's General Dennis Cabin you saw briefly. He is in charge of recruiting efforts for the Army. Robbie Loomis has his own army out there of Hendrick soldiers ready to go.
What these extra laps also let NASCAR and the track officials accomplish, pit road was still very wet, so let them run the jet dryers up and down pit road to help dry it out some.
One area they will not dry is the grassy area between the front straightaway and pit lane. Again, torrential rains here, and you can perhaps see some of the big puddles amongst all of the brightly painted logos on the pit road, and especially in that grass. You wouldn't want to go for a slide through there tonight.
No, and we've seen cars spin, several cars spin off turn 4 already this weekend, and they end up in that grassy area. So you would go for an incredible ride tonight. You would be hydro racing tonight.
There is still a bit of dampness along that's the inside apron of the racetrack in the back straightaway. The racing surface, you can see where the dashed lines are, is very dry. Jimmie Johnson will start out back. We'll listen in on he and crew chief Chad Knaus.
We'll keep an eye on your water temperature, Jimmy, back here in traffic, and being a lot more humid and warmer today than what it has been. You've also got your tire blowers. You can turn those on when you're ready. Come forward.
And what he's actually talking about, the tire blowers, these guys at a short track, they will run blowers like you run on your boat to blow the fumes out of the engine compartment. They normally use them to cool the brakes, but what a lot of teams will do here, the front tires take such abuse here, and as you abuse those front tires, it makes the car push worse and worse, turn less and less, so they actually blow air on the tires to try to keep the heat down, which keeps the pressure built up, especially on that right front.
And you'll run as much tape as you can possibly get away with to make that car as fast as possible.
Let's go to pit road and check with Steve Burns.
With Robbie Loomis. Mike, Robbie, what is Jeff Gordon saying about the condition of the track?
The track really looks pretty good, except off turn 4 up high there. He said there's a couple spots that's seeping up through the track a little bit.
I believe once they run through, they've been running the high group through there a few times. NASCAR's going to make sure it's good and safe with the turn loose.
Robbie, Jeff has led a lap in 16 of the 20 races he's been in here. Do you feel good about your race car and Jeff Gordon tonight?
I tell you what, I told him we were going to change it from Lowe Speedway to Chad Canals, Jimmie Johnson. We're going to work on making it Jeff Gordon Speedway tonight.
Good luck.
You can see that area right along there below the wall. That area has been in shade much of the day. That's the northwest corner of the racetrack. So the sun doesn't get on that part of asphalt right up under the wall much of the day. There's a good look at the shadows.
Yeah, and the problem is there's going to be some guys that are going to be running up there real early. I mean, they'll be up there sliding right up next to that wall off turn 4.
Can you say Michael Waltrip? I tell you what these extra laps do to the crew chief and the engine builder, the engine tuner, kind of throws them a curveball on their fuel mileage. You saw the fuel win to 60 to 65 laps. The more caution laps we run, the more it's using fuel. You can normally figure about a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 caution laps to 1 green lap. So this is taking green laps away that they would run in this first segment.
On a good day, these cars get about 5.5 miles to the gallon of 110 octane fuel that costs about $5 a gallon.
Right at 100 miles per tank of fuel. Of course, they hold 22 gallons of fuel in the fuel cells.
Matt Borland, crew chief of the pole sitter. Ryan Newman, the Purdue grad, last year's Rookie of the Year. He has won a pole on an average of 1 every 6 times he comes to the racetrack, and that is phenomenal.
And most of the time, Mike, it's a track record.
Yes.
I mean, the cat is fast. We know he's fast. He needs to focus tonight on running 600 miles.
He is the new track record here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Ryan Newman and Elliott Sadler are ready to lead them down to the green flag. We'll be right back. This is NASCAR on Fox.
Do boogity, boogity, boogity.
Welcome back to Lowe's Motor Speedway. This fella better hit the pedal and get a move on. They are going to send the cars into a green-yellow condition. This means that the track is not available for passing. You're not at racing speed, but the pace car will pick up speed to help in drying efforts. And beginning now, the laps will count.
Yeah, those weepers off the corner there, I mean, you just can't let the cars go racing with that happening. The cars are set certainly early on when the pressures are low and the track doesn't have any rubber on it. It'd be wouldn't be a good idea.
Now, Ryan Newman's pole the other day here was supposed to be the other night, but rain prevented that. Was not a new track record. The track record is still held by Jimmie Johnson. Johnson was fastest in practice, and everybody expected him to contend for the pole and perhaps break his old record. But as you've heard, he did not get a chance to make a qualifying run. Internal engine problems sent him to the garage instead. And with a back-end engine, he starts tail-end Charlie.
And he was fast before they qualified, had that problem, and he was fast in practice. So the car is fast, there's no question about that.
Here's Dick Berggren.
When it's 1 to go before they are going to drop the green flag all by itself, Jimmie Johnson, car number 48 in the back of the pack, is going to come in and put fuel in his automobile. Why not? Nothing to lose. Several others will probably join him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good move. I would say the back 6 or 8 cars, it'd be a good move as many caution laps we run. Remember, you cannot come to pit road and fuel the car until the race is officially started. It's officially started now.
Exactly. You can't come in with 1 to go under normal circumstances and do that. It's not legal, but since the green flag has been dropped, you can come down and top that bad boy up, and that's a good move.
Here's our Singular Wireless virtual crew chief question. You can vote now from your Singular Wireless phone by sending text message FOX to phone number 191 or visit foxsports.com to vote online. Stay tuned for the results. Is the Coke 600 the most demanding Winston Cup race?
I think when you look at the overall picture, driver, car, amount of time, I think it is. That's my opinion.
So that would be yes.
That would
be a yes.
That would be a yes in Waltrip's world.
There's the 24 hours of Le Mans and Daytona, the 12 hours of Sebring. There have been several great 1,000-kilometer sports car races all across Europe and South America even. But this is the longest oval track race in the world, 600 miles.
You know, the only person that has benefited from this race already officially starting is Ryan Newman in the 12 car on the pole, because he's getting credit for leading these laps, so he gets those 5 bonus points. That's not a lot. When you figure after his win at Texas and you look at the last 4 races, He has 4 DNFs, and that don't even include the DNF in the Winston the other night. He has went from 8th to 27th in Winston Cup points in 4 races.
We'll be back for the green flag here at Lowe's Motor Speedway as they complete lap number 2 under caution to make sure the track is very dry before we go green. There's still a sweeper working out at the exit of turn number 4, and as soon as he's done, we'll be ready to race. 43 drivers, all of their crews, and nearly 200,000 fans, and you are ready to go. We'll be looking for the green flag next time by, as we'll put 3 laps in the books under caution and then get ready to start. Congratulations to Gilles DeFerrin and Roger Penske, who won the Indianapolis 500 today.
You got to hand it to the captain, man. I mean, what an incredible accomplishment. 13 wins at Indy.
Penske's car started on the pole at Indy, and Ryan Newman is in a Penske Dodge here, as is his teammate Rusty Wallace. Penske will not make the trip from Indy here to Charlotte for the race, but he told team manager John Erickson, he said, okay, that's 1 for 2. Now it's your boy's turn.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 1-2 finish for Roger up there. Both of his cars finished 1st and 2nd, and I think that's been 2 out of the last 3 years he's accomplished that.
Now, Jimmie Johnson was going to make that pit stop, and NASCAR ruled that he was not eligible to do so.
I was, you know, when we were talking about that, I said, now, you know, that's a little unusual for them to allow that to happen because these are adverse circumstances, and basically they're viewing this as the start of the race. Oh, boy.
Well, this will be 3 laps complete, but the green flag has not yet waved, so Johnson couldn't come in, and we've not really started, have we?
I knew we haven't started the race yet.
Well, we better get ready.
You better pull them belts tight. I know it's not going to be comfortable, but 4 hours, buddy, it's yours.
Oh, baby, here we go. Boogity, 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 boys, let's go racing.
I think in the 15 car, he didn't get up to speed.
He's got a problem, Larry. He's just slowing down, and looks like he's got a problem with the car. You know, he had a problem with the plug wire yesterday in the Busch car. I don't know if it's hadn't bitten him again today, surely.
Roger Penske's car led the last lap at Indy, and now the first green lap at Charlotte. Ryan Newman trying to run off from the field, and they're packed double wide back there.
I have ridden around under caution before like they did here and had a plug to foul, even had a camshaft to go bad on me one time because I rode around too long, too slow. And right now, Mike, Larry, you're just so, you're saying, my car is good. My car is good. Guys, my car is good. You're really happy because it's handling the way you wanted it to.
I'm going to tell you something I've noticed, Darrell. Already that second groove is working pretty good. A little unusual with no rubber down just yet.
You saw Jimmie Johnson trying to claw up from the back of the field where he started. 25 Nemechek and 97 Busch. They are 2 of the drivers expected to contend here.
I think if I was Jimmie Johnson, I would be very, very careful right now.
I mean, all he needs to know right now is where the leader's at. You just want to stay on the lead lap.
You got to let things come to you when you start that 4-back. We know he's fast. Use some pit strategy. Stay out of trouble here early. You'll be all right.
And make sure nothing is coming back at you sideways.
And I think something just happened to Michael on the start of the race. He's fine now, it looks like.
I think
15 car.
Probably fouled the plug. You know, maybe loaded the thing up a little bit there, riding along slow, and just got it all fouled. The plug's fouled.
There's Waltrip in 18th. Jimmie Johnson, 48th. To the inside of Mike Wallace. Now that's Robbie Gordon, 31. And Terry Labonte in the 5.
Jeff Gordon just went by Mike Skinner in the 4 car. Jeff in the 24 car. That was a battle for 3rd. Boy, Tony Stewart right behind this group in the 20 car. He got a well of a run through the middle of 1 and 2. You get off the corner good, you'll win the drag race down the straightaway right there as he pulls to the inside of Mike Skinner in the 4.
Easy in and back in the throttle wide open in the middle of the corner, and you're going to win a lot of races here.
Mike's keeping it wound up, though, in the high side. His car looked a little bit loose up there in 3 and 4, but he didn't back off. He's not giving up yet.
This is one of those racetracks that you have to slow down to go fast. You got to back out of that throttle early and let that car get down to the bottom and then gas it.
Gosh, Cyril, there's only 588 miles to go.
Yeah, and you feel it, too.
And I'm look at this group right here. This starts back there with Jeff Green in the 30 car. This is a battle back there for about 16th through 25th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Budweiser car, they have not been very happy with that car at all week long.
One thing you don't want to do right now because of the rain is drop those left tires down on this tri-oval. As you come off turn 4 to make this little hitch through here on both corners, you don't want to get those left tires down on that grass, or you're going to go for a ride and probably take somebody with you.
3 wide. No, they lead Green in the one upstairs. Kenseth, the point leader, in the 17 on the bottom. And in the middle is Junior, Steve Burns.
Mike, Dale Earnhardt Jr. told his crew, we started off really good, but we're already starting to get tight. He said that just 2 laps ago.
Well, trust me, Steve, if it's already getting tight here on lap 10, it's only going to get tighter, and it's only going to get tighter as the night goes on.
Yeah, but you know, Larry, you got to be a little bit patient here because the track has no rubber on it, so it could get better. I mean, I've done the same thing, start complaining about my car, and then it got better as I went along.
You see there, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 8 car, he's about 7.5 seconds behind leader Ryan Newman. See the RPMs down to about 7,000 in the middle of the corner. All the way up to 9,000 driving off in the corner, almost 190 miles per hour.
Ryan Newman's lead, 1.1 seconds. It looks like this over the yellow Ford of Elliott Sadler. And Jeff Gordon 2 seconds off the lead in 3rd. Teammates side by side. Earnhardt Jr. and Waltrip. This is for 15th place.
You'd never know there's 600-mile. It's the 600-mile race with you.
Kurt Busch told us the other day, you got to pace yourself in this race. When? How?
Well, I'm going to tell you what, he's pacing himself right now because he's working up through the field. He started back in 12th, and he's working on Jack Sprague right now in the 0 car. And what I'm noticing about Kurt, he's really starting to work that high line, but he had a very close call in that last practice yesterday. He spun coming off turn 4. Very lucky he didn't hit anything.
And give a call to Sprague in the 0. This is by far his best run of practice and qualifying in his Winston Cup career.
You know what you call it when you do that, don't you, Larry? That spinning out like that and you don't hit anything, that's a spin and grin.
You better believe it at this place.
Matt Yoakum, is everything okay with our leader?
Well, he's reporting into his crew chief, Matt Borland, Mike, that the water temperature has climbed to 235 degrees. In fact, they've asked spotter John Erickson to look and see if maybe there's some kind of debris, maybe a hot dog wrapper or something on that grill that is causing the temperature to climb. Well, we had a good picture of it as he come down the front stretch. There you see it right there. That's blocking the radiator opening. And what that'll also do, because not only make the water temperature come up, it nails the nose of the car, will make the car a little bit free as well. So they just need to get that wrapper off there, the first caution of the first pit stop.
Yeah, because as you looked at that grill, he doesn't have anything open at the top. That's got the bottom covered up, and that's where he's taking his air in from the bottom of the grill.
Ryan Newman, the pole sitter, has failed to finish in most of his last 5 starts. Now he's got to get that monkey off his grill. 4-time Winston Cup champ Jeff Gordon is on a flyer. He has passed Elliott Sadler and close to within 1.7 seconds of race leader Ryan Newman. We started this race under a green caution to get the track fully dry. 3 laps of that. Then they went at it. Newman has led all the way so far. Kurt Busch closes right up to the back bumper of Mike Skinner for 5th place.
We got to work on the front end, Jimmy. It's like we got to drop a half a pound out of both fronts to make this thing cut. Okay.
And what he was talking about is just taking some air pressure on the first pit stop out of both front tires. In other words, like softening the front spring rate. That goes right back to what I was talking about a while ago. Keeping that air pressure from build up, you started a little lower.
What I like about that is that's a minor adjustment. But, you know, I like his thinking. He's not going to take it out of one tire. He's going to take it out of both front tires. Keep the car balanced.
At the front of the pack, Ryan Newman has led all 22 laps so far. But look at that piece of debris on the grill, a wrapper or something. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, the concern grows for Ryan Newman's water temperature. It has now climbed to 242 degrees. Matt Borland has been up and down the pit box 4 times already. Now, Darrell, if he was in track,
to do, man, he needs to slow down, which is going to be pretty hard for him to do, and get behind somebody. If he'll get behind Jeff Gordon, who's been closing a little bit, let that air blow that wrapper off there, then he can go back to work.
Two drivers that are really moving to the front of the Joe Gibbs cars. Tony Stewart is up to 3rd. Bobby Labonte is up to 7th. Stewart started 6th. He's gained 3. Labonte started 11th. He's picked up 4 positions.
And both these cars were 2 of the fastest cars throughout both practice sessions yesterday, so it's really not surprising.
And the bigger thing with the Newman's problem is, it's all right for that water temperature to go up there, but if it gets up there and stays, it's going to start hurting that engine. It's going to detonate the engine, and it'll blow up.
You know, we talked about it making the water temperature go up and nailing the nose. It makes it run faster down the straightaway because you're blocking that nose up, reduces the drag.
Well, Newman and slow down and get behind somebody, they just don't know. They don't go together.
Here comes Bobby Labonte, former Winston Cup champ, underneath Mike Skinner, 6th place.
Car looks really good, Larry. He's been right on the bottom, passing them pretty much when he catches them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a different car than he finished in 3rd place in the Winston the other night. This is actually the car that he won Atlanta with.
He's now 4.8 seconds off the lead. There is the distance from the entrance to turn 1 to the exit of turn 2. Newman, Gordon, Stewart, Sadler, Busch, and Labonte. Side-by-side action a little further back as Dale Jr. and Joe Nemechek go at it for 11th.
Junior's car is really hooked up good on the bottom. I've seen him make a number of passes. That left front tire right down on that white line, accelerating off the corner really well.
Yeah, considering he started back in 24th, he's definitely making some moves to the front.
The thing that I've noticed about he and Michael both this year versus last year particularly is they seem to be able to get their cars really good come race time. They sometimes struggle in practice, but they make the right changes for the car to be good on Sunday.
Steve Burns.
And Darrell, you were right. Dale Earnhardt Jr. just had to use a little patience. Early in the race, he said the car was too tight. Now he said by lap 18, we're starting to free up, and it feels a lot better. It feels good.
Yeah, with the rain, Steve, and everything, you've got to give that car a little bit of time to see what the track's going to change a little bit. And I'd rather be tight to start with and then let it come to me.
Ryan Newman's lead is going away. Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Elliott Sadler have linked up, and they are coming.
I mean, definitely looking at the score monitor right now, Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, and Bobby Labonte have the fastest race cars. In fact, when Tony Stewart got to Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, I think he pretty much just motioned him by. It's like, you caught me that fast, no sense in me racing you this early.
Well, if I'm Matt Borland down there in the pits of that 12 car, I'm telling that driver, I'm saying, look, buddy, we can't run 600 miles with the water temperature at 240 degrees. Slow down and get behind somebody.
He is not going to catch lap traffic, Darrell, for another 20 laps or so. If he was able to catch a car, the turbulence behind that car might blow that wrapper away.
I just think that's one of the things he's got to learn is these are long races. Don't worry about leading early. You know, don't worry about leading early. Get to the end.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., he just went by Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, the Budweiser car there. That puts him in the top 10 now, 30 laps into this race. A lot of changes on that Budweiser car this morning.
They were all good, I can tell you that.
Ryan Newman, who has not finished in his last 4 Winston Cup starts, leads, but that lead is dwindling.
Boy, Kenny Schrader in the 49 car, he just almost got in the wall in 3 and 4, but he keeps going.
We're starting to slide away here north of Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Coca-Cola 600. Welcome back to Lowe's Motor Speedway, where Ryan Newman continues to hold a 1-second lead despite a piece of wrapping paper or plastic that is blocking most of the air inlet to his radiator.
I just keep worrying about that in the big scheme of things. But you know what? I mean, Larry, it can't have gotten any worse because the thing would finally blow all the water out of it if it did.
Yeah, the only thing he has going for him is about 20 laps before this green flag stop would come.
Matt Yoakum is in the leader's pit.
We'll check in with Matt Borland. First off, Matt, how high is the water temperature now, and how long before he's going to
playing it as so far so good. Jeff Gordon is now less than a second back, and further back, Jimmie Johnson, who started 42nd, has gained now 11 positions if he gets past Kenny Schrader, whose Freightliner Dodge brushed up against the wall a little bit ago. Here's Schrader.
Whoa, baby.
That was up in middle of turn 3 and 4.
The wall just straightened him out, Darrell.
Yeah, it did. It saved him.
Now Ricky Craven.
There. Whoa. That was ugly.
A little bit of help from Ward Burton in the 22 car.
Now, you can do that lightly and slightly, but you cannot do that all nightly.
You know, we talk about Jimmie Johnson, you know, the guy that's had probably the fastest race car here for 2 solid days. The problem is he's having a tough time getting by some of these cars, and he's only about 11 seconds in front of our leader, Ryan Newman, which is only about the length of the front stretch, and he's losing anywhere from 3/10 to 5/10 a lap, a second a lap to leader Ryan Newman.
Yeah, I know he's being cautious, but you don't want to be too cautious.
Second place, Tony Stewart goes back by Jeff Gordon. Now that's the third time they swapped positions.
They seem to be having a little go of it.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. passing for 9th place. That's Dave Blaney in the Jasper Ford right behind the Bud Chevy.
I've been watching our scoring monitor. Ryan Newman is about the only car in the 31-second bracket right now here 40 laps in this run. We talked about him earlier. Jack Sprague in that 0 car, he's hanging tempo with Ryan Newman. And right now, Jack, you see him right there, he's in the 7th position. So he showed that qualifying run was just not a fluke. He's backing it up.
It's the ride of his life for the former Craftsman Truck Series champ. Now, Bobby Labonte's closing up on Kurt Busch. Busch went past him a little bit earlier, but now Labonte is right there. This is for 4th place. And there's the reason why. Big difference in finding their way around this racetrack.
And we see that so much in 3 and 4. For the most part, the way you transition off into turn 1 and through 1 and 2, most cars run the bottom. But in 3 and 4, you definitely have a selection of grooves that you can run. And let's see what Matt Yoakum has to add.
Well, Bobby Labonte couldn't have picked a better place to keep his points swing alive. Already climbed 10 spots in the last 4 races. Labonte now 5th on the scoring pylon. Reporting in the crew chief Michael Fabak this way. He says it feels like the left front tire just is losing grip in the center of the corner. Otherwise, he is very happy with the way that Chevrolet is responding at this juncture of the race.
That's really the key to being good here and keeping it low in the corner, Larry, is that get that left front tire working down on that white line. That white line's got grip in it. You open that shock up a little bit and take a little of that compression out of it and put a soft spring over it, and that baby will hunt. That dog will get down there and hunt.
I think the other thing we've just seen is the maturity of Kurt Busch. He came into this circuit as a driver who wanted to go to the front, get there, and stay there. Now we're seeing a driver that's got some patience to him, and he's running the long race. At the front, Stewart's there. That's Kevin LePage, the number 71, going a lap down to race leader Ryan Newman outside of Stewart.
And they are just on the verge of catching several cars, a lot of lap cars just in front of them. You see Kyle Petty up there. You see Tony Raines. So they're fixing to get in a lot of lap cars.
Same thing we saw yesterday, Larry, is the guys that start up front have such a huge advantage. If you're off a little bit, track conditions are not like you thought they were going to be, you get in trouble or to get a lap down.
And then you have this green flag run, no cautions.
No caution.
Get you to pit road to adjust it.
And when you drop the green flag, the leaders over here taking the green, you're already up in the middle of 3 and 4. You're about a quarter of a lap down before you can get started.
They're going to pull up on.
Before you can get started.
They're going to pull up on Larry Foyt in the 14, who had one of his best qualifying efforts of this rookie season here at Charlotte. Then Kyle Petty, Mike Wallace, Tony Raines.
Last time I watched, was looking at Indy, AJ's grandson, the 4th there. I think he was the best rookie today.
Hey, I believe it's good news for Ryan Newman. I believe that piece of debris may be gone, and we talked about that earlier. If he could catch those lap cars, get up there, and you get in that low pressure area, it sucks it back off. So he may be in good shape now.
Mike Wallace, who is the substitute driver for Jerry Nadeau in the Army Pontiac. Watch that black 01 on the left.
It's Kyle Petty alongside of him there. Bam, bam, bam.
Kyle just moved up into it.
I think I like that.
Of course, they're desperate right now. Leaders is right there behind them.
Mike Wallace, Ryan Newman the leader, right off his rear bumper. Biggest mover today thus far, Sterling Marlin, gaining 20 positions.
I'm going to tell you what, Sterling is definitely a car that's on the move, and here we got a battle for the lead as he traps Ryan Newman in the 12 behind Mike Wallace in 01. Tony Stewart in the 20 moves to the inside. He's just going to drive right by Ryan Newman, headed off into turn 1. You know, you talked about Sterling Marlin, Mike. Yeah, he started back in 36th, and he's all the way up to 16th. And remember, this race team and this race car, they know how to get the victory lane. They've won the last 2 fall races here 2 years ago with Sterling Marlin, last year with Jamie McMurray.
Pit stops beginning early for cars that have been lapped. Larry Foyt is in, so is Jeremy Mayfield. We've had our first green flag lead change of the day. Tony Stewart. Pit stops early. We'll recap in a moment. The leader is in. Tony Stewart, so's Jeff Gordon and more. Steve?
Jeff Gordon was tight early, but it says he's better now, Mike. Jeff Cook, the jack man. Jeff Craven's going to put 22 gallons of gas in to match.
And Jeff Patterson already made the wedge adjustment on Tony Stewart's Chevrolet. He was complaining to his crew chief, Greg Cipollone. The car was on the tight side. Stewart's down and away. The 12 car, Ryan Newman, will be coming in this time. The debris on Ryan Newman's Dodge, apparently from what John Erickson told the team, has come off. The water temperature's starting to come down. A little bit of it still left, though, as Newman comes to a stop on his Dodge. He said about 5 laps ago the car had gone to the loose side. I do not see any wedge adjustments taking place. They're just going to go with air pressure as they go to the left side of the car, get the left side tires on. The 49er Schrader already pitted. A wedge adjustment on the 7 car, Jimmy Spencer.
The new leader, Kurt Busch, now comes on to pit road along with Jarrett Sadler, and more than half the field has now been in.
And that will hand the lead to his teammate Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, so 5 bonus points for him being the points leader.
Kevin Harvick is in, and that should pretty well cycle us through pit stops. Steve Park in as well, and Jeff Green. Steve?
Kevin Harvick is tight in the center and loose off Mike. They take the tires off. They were going to pull a spring rubber out of the left rear, and Harvick is away.
There you see Matt Kenseth, who had inherited the lead for 1 lap. He's about the last car to come to pit road, so it looks like the lead's going to be back, possibly with Tony Stewart. All these stops will be 4 tires, and of course those adjustments.
Terry Labonte finishes his stop, as does Kenseth.
Always one of the most consistent, quickest crews on pit road. There you see it, 14.2 seconds. Have to maintain that pit road speed of 45 miles per hour, though. Can't have mistakes on green flag stops.
And can't come back up on the banking of the racetrack until the exit of turn number 2. You have to stay down on that apron, getting back up to speed.
There you see the leader, Tony Stewart, in the 20 car, just about to put Robbie Gordon in the 31 car lap down. Robbie right now is running back in the 36th position, so we have 36 cars on the lead lap after the first cycle of green flag stops.
I think if I listened to Ryan Newman and those guys, they said his car's a tad loose. I think that's a good thing right now. As long as it's not real loose, that car's going to get better as the night goes on.
Stewart log jammed here, trying to get past Terry Labonte, and does. Now with Robbie Gordon just ahead. Trouble for Mike Wallace on pit road.
And this is the thing we talk about. You can't have mistakes, especially on the green. He missed his pit box. Of course, remember, this is really only about the 2nd race that he's been with this race team. He has to get familiar with the signs and everything else, but very costly on a green flag stop.
And he missed it big time. I mean, he's all the way around. He didn't just slide through it. He missed it totally. So obviously he wasn't ready for the pit.
Pit stops have put 7 drivers a lap down as Gordon tries to deal with his former open wheel nemesis, Tony Stewart.
Yeah, and even though Mike Wallace drove that car in the Winston Open last week, this is the first time he's made a green flag stop with that group.
Right. What I mean is he wasn't familiar with the surroundings, and he just kind of went right by it, and he had to obviously back up.
Let's show you Tony Stewart's lead over Jeff Gordon. Or Stewart's orange Home Depot Chevy, the leader. And here's the DuPont Chevy of Jeff Gordon. 2nd. That's what 2.2 seconds looks like. Matt can update us on Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch, who nearly won the Winston last Saturday night. He stayed out an extra lap just to pick up 5 bonus points, keeping an eye on the bigger picture. His car was tight
everywhere. New crew chief Tony Burr said, hang in there, let the right front tire pressure build up, and it will come to you. To Dick Berggren.
Jimmie Johnson, car number 48, started way in the back of the pack, and that's because he had to do an engine change. He lost the engine in his time trial. He has one of the fastest cars here. He was the fastest man in the final practice session. He has gone from dead last to 20th spot.
And just to follow up on Steve Burns talking about Jack Sprague, again, I know we've talked about him a lot, but you know what? He's given us a lot to talk about this week, and this just goes to show you when everything's good, everything's good. Even the pit crew had a great pit stop on that green flag stop for him.
The problem that you run into, Larry, is you run bad, you don't have very good luck, all of a sudden you show up at a racetrack with a really good race car. Are you ready physically? Because you haven't really had a good car to drive like he's got tonight, or as good as he's got tonight. And you got to be ready as a driver to take advantage of it.
Number 1 and number 2 in points. Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr. came in here 20 points apart for the Winston Cup lead. That is 7 positions at the front of the field. That's what 20 points is worth.
He's been nipping away, and there you see Jimmie Johnson in the Lowe's car, the 48 car. He's picking up more positions. Be a battle for the 19th position. Jamie McMurray in the 42 and Steve Park in the 30 car. Boy, I'm struggling with that one, but we'll get there.
Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon battle for second. Looks like Busch is going to get it. Jeff Green and Steve Park did not swap rides, but that was the effect of what happened. One driver got released, then the other got released. One got hired, the other got hired, and essentially they swapped cars. Although in a business sense, it certainly did not happen that way.
That was not the original plan.
Jimmie Johnson battling the Busch Series champ, the Granger Ford.
Outside, clear high, buddy, clear high.
Greg Biffle surrenders a spot to Johnson.
I tried wrecking him for 3 laps and you wouldn't wreck.
Tony Stewart, the leader at 100 miles in the Coca-Cola 600.
Fox welcomes you back to Lowe's Motor Speedway. These aerial views courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Overhead, the Florida-based blimp Stars and Stripes, continuing a 78-year tradition as the aerial ambassador of the 105-year-old company. Nice to have you with us on this Memorial Day holiday weekend. We're through 72 laps. Tony Stewart, your leader. And yesterday at practice, Jeff Hammond, calamity corner here in turn 4 as we see Kurt Busch having problems.
Yeah, right there, he got up a little bit high. That race, part of the racetrack right there, we see his teammate right here, Greg Biffle, also doing the same thing. There are a lot of bumps through there, not a lot of grip in that area. It's real easy to let the car get out behind you, get away from you. Early on today, we saw Kenny Strader also get up there into the wall, save it. And even though he got forced up into the wall right here, Ricky Craven by the 22 car of Ward Burton, we call it calamity corner right now. As you come to this corner right here, you got to be real careful as you feed back the throttle, because all of a sudden that wall just kind of jumps out there and will get you.
And we welcome you to our Visa Race Break at the Hollywood Hotel with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers. Now, as the daylight turns into the nighttime here, how is that affected, or does it make it much more adventurous there?
It makes it much more adventurous because the race car is going to go through a series of changes. As we heard, a lot of these crew chiefs, the cars are loose right now. They're trying to get the drivers to try to work with them by making some air pressure adjustments. But as you watch the guys go around the racetrack, you'll see from time to time they come out of daylight, they go into some of the shaded areas. The racetrack will start making these changes, and you've got to be on top of every one of them.
Now, Kurt Busch, part of Roush Racing, they've won the last 4 Coca-Cola 600s, and he is currently running second behind Tony Stewart. You spend about 2/3 of around this track, over 1.5 miles, Jeff, turning if you're the driver. Now, does a certain driver do that better than others?
I think that, yes, some guys are a lot smoother than others, hitting their marks, understanding how to work this racetrack. Being a triangle, you run down low across the front side of the near the start-finish line, let the car drift out close to the wall down into turn 1, and you've got to be really smooth with this. Again, the racetrack is very rough. It doesn't have a lot of grip. Makes it very challenging for a lot of these guys.
And the 17, Matt Kenseth, is moving on up, part of Roush Racing, and the points leader trying to protect that points lead.
Guys from Roush understand this racetrack, I think, better than any other group. They have a good package as far as aerodynamics are concerned on the car, as well as the chassis setups. I think they work very well together with the shock packages. As we see right now, the 38 car of Elliott Sadler moving into 4th place as he goes around Ryan Newman. You've got to have a good, balanced race car, and I think it's what these guys do well here at Charlotte.
Now, Ryan Newman, of course, the pole sitter, led 49 laps. As you see the battle for 4th currently, he fell back just a little bit. Still, Tony Stewart leading overall.
Yeah, just watching right there, you see Elliott Sadler getting ready to go underneath Larry Foyt's car. He was waving out the window to let
Ryan Newman know, hey, I really appreciate you giving me some racing room. Real early in the race, a lot of these guys are doing a really good job at giving and taking.
All right, let's get back as we have a long way to go. Check in on the 17. Matt Kenseth and Steve Burns with an update on the points leader trying to move up in this race. Steve?
Well, Chris, when Matt Kenseth pitted, they took 1 pound out of the right front tire, just a half a pound out of the other 3 tires. Kenseth's saying that the car is a little free right now, but it's really good. And he also said it's going to be even better when it gets dark out. The smart thing they did, Chris, was they stayed out and led a lap, good for 5 bonus points. To Matt Yoakum.
Steve Dale Jarrett, a 3-time Charlotte winner, runs in the 15th position. Before his stop, he told his young crew chief, Sean Parker, the car was on the loose side. They made an air pressure adjustment to try to tighten up a little bit, but not over just the car. PJ spotter Bob Jeffrey told him 3 laps ago that the car in front of you is probably the best car on the racetrack, and that's the 48 car, Dick Berggren.
Jimmie Johnson, who started way in the back, has motored all the way to 14th, Matt. He keeps hearing in his ear his spotter and his crew chief telling him, patience, easy, add a way to go. He is picking them off one at a time, and he's going to have to do it on the racetrack. Before this event started, his crew chief, Chad Knaus, decided they would not do 2-tire stops to try to gain positions on pit road. Tires, too important here at Lowe's Motor Speedway to try any 2-tire stops. So Johnson's doing just what he has to do, picking them off. Mike?
Thanks, Dick. Tony Stewart puts Bill Elliott down a lap, and the lead lap cars are dwindling in number because except for the first 3 laps of this race run under caution, we've been green all the way through a pit stop, and Tony Stewart has now led 27 laps to 50 for Ryan Newman, 2 for Matt Kenseth, and 1 for Kurt Busch. 9th place battle here. Earnhardt Jr. up high, Dave Blaney down low.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that either they made the wrong adjustments on Dale Earnhardt Jr. They're starting to lose track with this racetrack because Dave Blaney in the 77 right there, he caught Dale Earnhardt Jr. in a hurry in the Budweiser car and just drove right by him.
And sometimes that's what happens there. You give the team bad information. You tell them you need the car to be better or tighter, looser, whatever, and you panic a little bit, and then they'll overreact and make too big a change, and you got to get it back on the next stop.
Right now, unofficially 18 cars on the lead lap as Sterling Marlin catches up with Earnhardt Jr.
I watched Sterling in the 40 car yesterday. He was pretty good in those 2 practice sessions, and this is actually the race car that won the first 2 Winston Cup races when Dodge came back 2 years ago, and there you see Sterling just go by him on the outside. They were going to retire this car, give it to Chip Ganassi for a Christmas present. They got this tearing some cars up, wasn't running as good as they should. They said, hey, Chip, we need that car back for a little bit, so here they are racing it again.
That was a wise decision. That baby looks good tonight.
See that 41, young Casey Mears? He's on the ABC plan. This weekend he ran a 100-mile ARCA race, the 300-mile CarQuest Busch race, and he wants to go 600 miles tonight. So that's 1,000 miles in one weekend. Not quite as many as Robbie Gordon, but an admirable task for this young fellow.
And you know who else did that, and look where he is. Ryan Newman did the same thing with Penske when he came on board. They did the ABC plan, and it's worked out really well for him.
Yeah, I think Chip Ganassi finally decided with only a year of Busch racing under Casey's belt that in going straight to Winston Cup, let's get some more seat time. So he's going to run other ARCA races. He's going to run the Busch race at Dover. If all the plan comes together, about 40-something races between now and the end of the year, including his Winston Cup ride.
So that Target Dodge, which is in the midst of that big pack, 33rd, 1 lap down. Stewart has opened up 3 seconds on Kurt Busch, and the reason was you saw Busch's number 97 right amidst that big pack of cars trying to work through the lap machines.
You know, Kevin Harvick, who looked like he was moving forward, he's back in the 20th position. And Steve Burns, I think you have a little report, maybe a little miscommunication there.
That's exactly right, Larry McReynolds. Kevin Harvick said just a minute ago, boys, we are in big, big trouble. I'm almost spitting out in the center of the corner. The car is terrible. Larry, what happened was crew chief Todd Berrier misunderstood what Kevin said about the condition of the car. They made their adjustments the wrong way. Todd apologized and said, hang on if you can until our next pit stop. But they've dropped all the way down to 20th.
That's just what I was talking about, Larry. I mean, mean, the first pit stop, you call in, you're panicking about your car, it's not like you want it. Crew chief gets all excited, and they make big changes, and then you say, oh, no, put it back like it was.
That's another good reason. Sometimes I wanted that driver to tell me twice. Tell me twice. Let me make sure I understood what you were saying about that race car.
And, of course, I know that driver would say to you, don't you see how busy I am out here?
Electronic scoring is now updated. As we thought, there are 28 cars on the lead lap, the last 3 of which are Jeff Burton, who won here a couple years ago, John Andretti, and Ricky Rudd. Tony Stewart's our leader at 87 laps.
The Coca-Cola 600 on Fox is brought to you by Visa. Visit visa.com/NASCAR for an incredible NASCAR offer.
'93 laps complete in the 44th running of the Coke 600. That's Ricky Rudd in that light blue car, the Wood Brothers car, just ahead of Tony Stewart, carrying the Air Force colors and celebrating 100 years of flight with the Wright Flyer on the hood. Orville and Wilbur never went this fast.
Right now, he's fighting to stay on the lead lap. As you see Tony Stewart in the 20 car right there behind him. Right now, Ricky's back in the 27th position.
He hadn't been very good. I've been watching him, and he's been struggling with the car quite a bit, Ricky Rudd.
Joe Gibbs has cars running first, Tony Stewart, and 7th, Bobby Labonte. Here's Matt.
Bobby Labonte has fallen 10.46 seconds behind his teammate Tony Stewart on the racetrack. Remember back before his pit stop, Bobby Labonte, DW, said he was losing grip on that left front in the center of the corner. Well, they fixed that on that stop. The problem is now it's too loose on entry and turns too well in the center of the corner. He just can't get back in the gas quick enough on exit. Meanwhile, his teammate Tony Stewart said the car started out free, much like last Saturday night in the Winston, but it's coming to him very nicely. Dick Berggren?
Sterling Marlin started way in the back of the pack in 36th spot. He has worked his way all the way up to 9th. The car didn't really get fast until the very last practice session yesterday, where it got up to 5th in the happy hour. So this morning I asked crew chief Lee McCall, what'd you do to the car? He said, we didn't do anything to the car. So I went to the driver, and I said to Sterling, what'd you do to the car? You got so much faster. He said, I don't know. We didn't change anything. So there you are. Sometimes just leaving the car alone, it goes faster. Happened to Sterling, Steve Burns.
Hey, Dick, Jeff Gordon saying that he can't get his car to work high or low in turns 3 and 4. So crew chief Robbie Loomis says, no problem. When you come into pit road, we're going to raise that track bar and make an air pressure adjustment.
And Steve, he's definitely been trying every groove there is down in 3 and 4.
And Larry, that 40 car, now that's a mystery right there. I've come in and said, what have you done to my car? Meaning that it was not like it was when I drove it last time. I never had it fix itself.
No, I don't think I have.
Unless Hammond had a magic wand or something that he waved over, give it a bibbity-bobbity-boo or something.
'98 laps complete here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Tony Stewart is our leader, and that makes his number our not-so-secret number in the NASCAR Be a Grand Marshal for a Day contest on Fox. Log on to foxsports.com or NASCAR.com and enter for your chance to win. The winner will start the race, ride in the pace car, help produce features with Chris Long for NASCAR on Fox, and wave the checkered flag at the 2004 Winston Cup race at The Rock. Log in to win. Tony Stewart will complete 150 of 600 miles next time by, leading Kurt Busch by 3.1 seconds. This is NASCAR on Fox. Well, we went 100 laps under green, and now the caution is out. Rain coming from the east-southeast, and a lot of the leaders elect to pit.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to stay out because we're about 100 laps from this race being official, so all the lead lap cars will be to pit road. And this was quite a break for Kevin Harvick, who you heard had that ill-handling car. He was about to go a lap down. How about it, Dick Berggren?
Jimmie Johnson's car isn't handling as well as he would like either, so they're going to take a spring rubber out of the left rear to try to make the car a little bit looser. And there it is. The spring rubber's out of the left rear now. Steve Burns.
Dick, they just raised the track bar for Jeff Gordon and dropped the air pressure in the right rear tire. Let's go to Matt.
Tony Stewart calling for no adjustments on his Chevrolet. He is going to beat everybody off pit road.
Miscue on Greg Biffle's stop. He overshot his pit and had to back up. So he'll be one of the last off pit road.
But I'm sure he was glad to be on pit road because he was just about to go a lap down too. So he was able to pit with the lead lap cars. We had a real close call on pit road with Jimmie Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. though. Dale Earnhardt Jr. turned out of his pits, just about drove Jimmie Johnson all the way into the infield grass.
Wouldn't want to get in that grass right now because we won't get out.
Now the important thing is whether or not we can keep the racetrack, keep the gray in the racetrack, and have a surface that these cars' tires, these treadless tires, will stick to. If the track goes shiny black, we lose the racetrack and then have to bring the dryers out. Costly error for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
It don't matter. You got to come in. I know. I'm not saying it matters. I know I got to come in. I'm just trying to get your mind off fucking cussing each other. I'm fine.
There are 5 lug nuts on each wheel. They changed 4 tires. Somebody missed one.
Sometimes the crew has to calm the driver down. Sometimes the driver has to calm the crew down.
I always found it best if the driver didn't get too excited.
But yeah, you just can't have these kind of mistakes on pit road because he was going to be about 7th position, and now he's going to go all the way back to about 24th or 25th position. This is all the cars that are 1 or more laps down on pit road. Hard to believe Jeff Burton, who looked so strong the other night in that 99 car, he's already a lap down here at lap 105. He almost got it back, but didn't quite get it back. Tony Stewart wasn't going to give anybody a lap back.
The cars 1 lap down include Jeff Green, Casey Mears, Todd Bodine, Ken Schrader, and Jeff Burton, Ricky Rudd, Bill Elliott, Robbie Gordon, Tony Raines, Nemechek, Andretti, Craven, Labonte, it's Terry Labonte, and Kyle Petty. There's the run off pit road.
Elliott Sadler in that 38 group, they had a good pit stop.
I think that 8 car, didn't they have problems in the pits at California? Similar situation, I think.
They have had their share of problems on pit road.
Kevin Harvick becomes the 5th different leader of the Coca-Cola 600 on Fox. Kevin Harvick led a lap, stayed out. The only car that didn't pit on the lead lap. He got credit for leading a lap, and now he has pitted and surrendered the lead back to Tony Stewart. Here's Jeff Hammond.
Mike, we're always talking about under pit stops how guys are making air pressure adjustments to affect the handling of their race cars. These tires nowadays have turned almost like into independent springs when it comes to the way the race cars react. We have an inner liner inside the tire. Here I always talk about the safety liner. This is a safety liner inside this Goodyear tire. Now this is how you put the air in here. You have 2 valve stems. This one goes to the inner liner. This one here affects the outer. Now, what the guys do a lot of times when they come in, they'll make an air pressure adjustment in this area here. And what that does, it softens the spring rate of this tire up, or they add pressure to it to stiffen this sidewall again to make the tire react a little different. We always talk about half a pound of air, a pound of air. These tires are very, very responsive to that, and that's exactly what a lot of these drivers are doing. And when they make these requests on chassis adjustments nowadays, they'll do it with air pressure in here. And even sometimes they'll go inside and drop the air pressure inside of this area of the inner liner, which has an effect on the outer. These tires are multiple, you can adjust them in many different ways to affect the handling of your race car. Making the right adjustment is always the key. We've already seen so far tonight, you can make a misunderstanding or miscue between the communication of the crew chief and the driver. It can affect the way you make your changes, but these tires have a lot to do with it. And Larry Mack, as you know, up until this recently, we didn't realize how much of an impact they did have as far as making the feel of a race car when you make these adjustments.
No, and of course, Jeff, as the competition has got closer and closer and closer, I think those adjustments has got smaller and smaller. And you figure, I know, get questions all the time about a half a pound of air, 1 pound of air. But remember, that tire, as you said, is a spring, and 1 pound of air can equal about 15 or 20 pounds of spring rate.
2 tire changers go at those 5 lug nuts with a $1,000 air wrench, and usually it's 5 off, 5 on. A miscue on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team. That's Tony Urey Sr., the crew chief. Walt Smith, who's the pit crew coach, talking it over, trying to get everybody back on their game. They have red flagged this race due to the rain, which has stopped. We did lose the racetrack. It got too wet to continue. But you see at the bottom of the screen, the jet dryers are out there and running, and it looks as if this will be a very brief stoppage.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. Those jet dryers will dry it up a lot quicker than the cars riding around there will, and plus we're saving some laps for racing.
A lot of thrust right there to get this track dry once again. Let's go down to the leader's pit. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, pit road was also damp during those round of pit stops. Tony Stewart, who came in the leader, also left the leader. Now keep an eye on Tom Dean, the tire carrier. As he comes around the front, he slips on the wet pavement, falls on a couple of lug nuts. He still holds his composure, helps index the tire with Mike Lingerfeld. They never skipped a beat. Entered pit road the leader, left pit road the leader. A great job by Tom Dean. That's the thing about these guys. You know, they never quit doing their job. We've seen guys get hit by these race cars and everything else, and they never stop digging.
Now, that's not our camera. That is the team's super slow motion replay of their pit stop, and after every pit stop, they review. What can we do better? What can we do quicker?
Yeah, we started doing that a long time ago, and we would play it back in the pits, but just to see, sometime we'd even watch other teams just to see what they were doing that that maybe we were not doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than a football team or someone going back and reviewing their plays. You review these plays on pit road, which is a pit stop.
And here you do it during the game.
And then you'll do it again on Monday, too.
Right.
You'll have a pit crew meeting with Walt Smith, I guess, in the case of the 8 car, and they'll go over all the pit stops and what they could have done differently and better.
He's okay. Dick Berggren.
With Jimmie Johnson, who has been absolutely motoring through this field. He's all the way up to 11th, and on this break, he has decided to have a candy bar. Why not? Little problem with the air vent going to your helmet, but otherwise, how's the car?
Car's good. Brand new helmet, and I haven't really had my air conditioner hooked up to it. It's not flowing real well, but just keep drinking my Gatorade and having a little snack here, and we're going to be good. The track's really starting to tighten up right now, and I'm sure with this, you know, the water landing on it and the cloud cover coming in, it's going to tighten up some more. So we made another big swing at it to free it up, and I've been pretty loose already. So hopefully we're making the right adjustments because we've got a great race car.
This is, by the way, Mike, not the car that won the $1 million last week here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. They chose a car that was going to be more comfortable for him, easier to drive. Chad Cadow says this is kind of like a big old Lincoln or a Cadillac, and that thing was just a little pointed rocket.
A car that would be better for the long haul. Now, Dale Jr. has climbed out of his car. That's Tony Uri Jr., his cousin, and Tony Uri Sr., that he's talking it over with.
I think I'm not picking on these guys, don't get me wrong, but they have had some problems in the pits. And I'm sure what Dale Jr. is telling these guys, what Jr.'s telling them is, look, guys, we got to improve. We're going to win a championship here. We can't have this happen to us. We got fortunate here. This happened under a caution, and now they've stopped the race, but still, you can't have these kind of problems and think you're going to be a contender for the championship.
But, you know, with this problem, maybe this red flag is good for this group. They can gain their composure back. They can talk about it, get regrouped, and get back to work. You know, what happened to us is behind us. Now let's go forward.
And the neat thing is when the driver, I mean, it affects him the most. He gets out of the car and he comes on and says, look, guys, we're all together. It's a mistake that's been made, and I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm over here encouraging you guys. You encourage me when I need it. I'm encouraging you.
Now, it is legal to get out of your car under a red flag condition. It is not legal to work on your car during the red flag. Here's Matt with the leader.
And Tony Stewart sitting patiently waiting to go back to green. First off, Tony, how's the race car? It looks great on the track.
It's not bad right now. I think Zippy and the guys will keep making adjustments, keep making it better as the night goes on, but it's pretty sporty so far.
When you're trying to manage your race, how far ahead do you try to look to where you want your car to be at a certain point of the night?
I want it good on the last run of the last segment of the race. So, you know, so far, I mean, the Home Depot Monte Carlo it's reasonable right now, but I mean, what we got right now for track conditions aren't what we're going to have later on, and just you know, we'll hope that what we have now is still going to be good by the time, you know, we get 300 laps into this race.
Now, we've talked a lot tonight about drivers and different colored shields they use. Some drivers start out with a clear shield, wear sunglasses. Tell us about your shield and your philosophy.
You're kidding, right? You know I'm not a philosopher.
Well, we know you're not a philosopher, but we'll give it a shot.
I wanted something light enough that I could see, so a dark shield wasn't going to work. You know, ever since I've been with Bill Simpson and Simpson Race Products, I've always, they were the ones that turned me on to what they call the amber colored shield, and it seems to be really good at night. It helps open up your pupils at night to where you can see a little better. So it's adequate for the afternoon and evening. It's real good about twilight when the sun's going down, about like right now. It really brightens everything up. So you know, when it gets dark tonight, that'll be it's normally a good combination at night too, so you can normally see everything real well.
Now, who's he trying to kid, Mike Joyce? Sound like a philosopher to me.
Marlin, who is 8th, winner of the fall race here 2 years ago. Brooks and Dunn on the side of that car as they pair up with Marlin. They are among the groups that will be appearing at the Dale Earnhardt Legacy Tribute Concert in Daytona on June 28th, honoring the great 7-time champion. Jeff Hammond sat down with Teresa Earnhardt in her Turn 2 condo above the Speedway here.
Teresa, I believe you've got a very exciting announcement about the upcoming Dale Earnhardt Tribute Concert.
Oh, I do. Next Saturday, May 31st, we're doing a special ticket promotion that every ticket that is purchased, the foundation, Dale Earnhardt Foundation, will donate a complimentary ticket to a member of the armed forces as a way to say thank you and to give them a little fun to come to the concert complimentary.
And if you want to get your tickets, folks, go to DaleEarnhardtIncorporated.com or Ticketmaster.com and get your tickets. And hey, they may not want to wait till next Saturday the 31st. They may want to go ahead and get their tickets now because they're going fast.
There are the condominiums above Turn 2 here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Brooks and Dunn, Kenny Chesney, a lot of great groups going to appear
Alabama,
there.
I think, will be there.
And somebody just said Goo Goo Dolls, who performed here last week.
I got to believe Dale Jr. would bring somebody like that along for the ride.
Red Dirt Road is Brooks and Dunn's new album. They'll be here in the middle of June here, appearing in Charlotte. Of course, we'll be in Michigan or somewhere. I think Brooks and Dunn is the only group that has a longer season than NASCAR does.
And you almost have to be year-round to be longer than our season, that's for sure.
All right, Darrell, what does this rain delay do to a driver?
Well, it's a good thing. It gave you a chance right here. We hadn't had any caution, so it gave you a chance to get out and in some cases talk to your crew, kind of get things organized. It gives the drivers a chance to eat a candy bar, get something nice and cold to drink, get back out there and go at it again.
Larry, what does this weather do to a team?
Well, you know, again, if it gives you time, if your car's not very good, it gives you time to think about it a little bit and talk more extensively about it, not have to make quick decisions. I don't think it rained hard enough that it really washed any rubber off this racetrack. The racetrack's certainly getting cooler, but it shouldn't be that much different than when before the red flag, before the rains came.
Maybe a little residue from those jet dryers. That always worried me. It seemed like for a lap or two the track was a little slicker. A lot of people think that the jet dryers put down a little bit of a residue, but it should not be anything of a problem, any kind of problem.
Now we're still about an hour and a half from dusk as this race will transition into nighttime. The sun is trying to poke through. In fact, to the west there is some blue sky. The rain shower that came over the Speedway came from the southeast. As you have a look from the Goodyear blimp, and there's some of those blue skies. So better weather coming, thunderstorms behind it, but hopefully that's much later tonight. We're told Dale Jarrett is going to need a push start. That car won't crank.
Yeah, and just to put this in perspective, Larry, we only have a little less than 300 laps to go.
But I'm going to tell you what, Dale Jarrett, he's up in the top 10, up in 10th position. And remember, he didn't have that great of a qualifying effort. And I think that car started back in 23rd. He's been getting better and better as this race has progressed.
We're going to restart the field under caution. Make sure the track's fully dry before they turn them loose under green. Here's Dick Berggren.
Bobby Labonte, who won his first ever Winston Cup race in this event several years ago, currently running in 6th position, did more than just change the lens on his helmet. He changed the entire helmet, Mike. The problem is that he's not getting enough air, and he's got a huge headache. So they're trying to make him more comfortable in the car. He's also having a bit of a problem drawing enough water. Boy, that's a real problem this early in an event that is this long.
Yeah, I think all that green flag racing right off the get-go. No cautions, you know, you had to run all the way through one pit stop and almost ready to do another series of pit stops here. I think all that hard racing early on, as hot and humid as it is, takes its toll on the driver.
I think the other problem, Darrell, it is so heavy and humid right now that even if you're getting all the air that can go through that helmet, it doesn't feel like it.
I know, and the other thing is when the track, you know, we talk about sensitive, how sensitive this track is, and the car's sliding around a lot. That is a nerve-wracking situation for a driver to be in.
Just over 150 miles complete. We're getting set to go back under the green flag here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Fox is brought to you by UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR. We want to race the truck. People love the truck. UPS delivers a chance to win 4 tickets to the Daytona 500. Log on to foxsports.com, keyword UPS Racing. We're going to go to green next time by. We've completed 160 of 600 miles here in Charlotte. 24 cars are on the lead lap. Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Elliott Sadler, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, those are the top 5.
And Mike, you asked me a while ago, what does this do for some teams? And I think what happened on Kevin Harvick and Mark Martin, they was able to talk about their car. They came back to pit road, made more adjustments after they went back under caution and put 4 more tires on. They had time to think about it.
Well, we've got to boogity boogity. We've got to, what was it, bippity boppity boo?
Bippity boppity boo.
What haven't we done yet?
We have not.
Crank it up.
Ready, ready, ready. Green, 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 green.
Tony Stewart had company on that restart. Jeff Burton, the 99 and 2001 winner, tried to get a lap back, has not yet been successful, and Jeff Gordon is having trouble getting out of lap traffic.
He can't get to the bottom, Mike. He's stuck out on the outside there. Nobody's cutting him any slack.
And he loses 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spot to Busch, Kenseth, and Sadler.
And on the verge of losing another position to Bobby Labonte. Like you say, he can't get to the bottom of the racetrack right now. Looks like the bottom groove's working the best.
Well, when you got fresh tires on, you can run down low. It's after the tires get a little heat built up in them, they give up a little bit, and you start sliding to the top. But right now, you got to be able to run the bottom.
He went back by Elliott Sadler in the 38 car, so that'll put him back in 4th position.
But Kurt Busch under fire from Matt Kenseth. Kenseth swept underneath Busch to take 2nd spot.
Yeah, it looked like Kurt had to get up out of the gas over there off of 2, and here come Matt.
And I mean, you can tell this racetrack has cooled down. Matt Kenseth in the 17, he just ran the fastest lap that he's run in this race there on lap 113.
I don't know what they did to Jeff Gordon's car, but they didn't help it.
But, Darrell, I think this racetrack, it continues to cool down, and we talked about it. Sometimes you help it too much, sometimes you don't help it enough with adjustments.
Yeah, sometimes you asked about sitting there and thinking about what you did. Sometimes you I just can't emphasize enough, over-adjusting your car based on the things the driver's telling you. Sometimes the driver exaggerates because he wants the car to be better, and the crew overreacts.
Tony Stewart Chevy leading 3 Fords, then this side-by-side Chevy battle for 5th.
Can you imagine a driver exaggerating?
Not the least. You know, Kevin Harvick, we talked about him in the 29 car. He's back in 22nd position. He just went by Kenny Wallace. Steve Burns, is that what they did? Did they have time to think about it a little bit, maybe make another adjustment?
Let's ask Todd Farrier, Larry Mack. Todd, why did you guys come to pit road again before the green flag?
We were just kind of matching up the boogie in it. We ran really good up to that first green flag stop, and we made a couple changes, really very minor changes, but we just were talking about a few things that we thought maybe accumulated to our problem there that second run. So we just come back and backed up a few things that we did the first run to try to see if we get it closer to where it was at the beginning of the run.
He's 22nd, fighting with Wallace. Kurt Busch is backing up. Gave second back to Matt Kenseth, and now Elliott Sadler's by him.
You know, one of the things there, and you know this, sometimes you take a set of tires off, you check the air pressure, the buildup in the tires. When you got time under a caution or to stop the race like they did, you say, I wish I'd have known what I know now. So you don't have to wait till that next pit stop. You've got the build-up pressures there. You say, I need to make this adjustment, not the one I made.
More information to go with what changes you think you should make.
Because that's one thing the crew chief will talk to the driver about all night long. He'll say, how's your car? You'll say it's loose, pushing, whatever. And he will say, the build-up shows. The build-up shows that you're pushing. The build-up shows you're loose. And that means the right front's hot if it or builds up the most if it's pushing. Right rear builds up the most if it's loose.
And under that red flag, you maybe had time to question your driver. Why are you telling me one thing and the air pressures are showing another? Is there more to the story? Tell you what, Ricky Rudd in that 21 car, they've made some good adjustments on that car. Now, he's running in about the 4th position on the racetrack, but he is a lap down in the 26th place. Just trying to keep tempo with these leaders, try to get that lap back. That car is definitely better than it was the first 100 laps.
Yeah, he was really struggling early in this race.
Rudd looking at Elliott Sadler, who is on the lead lap. Sadler started outside pole and runs 3rd.
Yeah, doing a nice job with that car. That's his Texas car. It's a car that ran so well at Texas, and they brought it back over here, and it's backing up that performance.
He was leading the race when he cut a tire down and wrecked it, and they repaired it, brought it back here. First time it's seen the racetrack since he wrecked it there.
Rusty Wallace in the midst of a pack. Now he's on the lead lap in 17th, chasing Ward Burton. And right behind him, Mark Martin, the defending champion of the race, number 6 in 18th place. Viagra Ford, then Jamie McMurray and Greg Biffle, all those nose to tail on the bottom lane are lead lap cars.
Similar situation with Mark. He came back down pit road. I'm thinking they did the same thing that 29 did, because Mark has not been very happy with his car either. Mark Martin's one of those kind of guys, we won't know how good he is until we get to about 2/3 of this race.
You got it. Jeff Burton got a lap back from Tony Stewart.
Stewart looks like he's slowing down.
Yeah, I mean, he's in trouble.
Something's
I think
wrong.
he has a problem because Matt Kenseth is catching him in a hurry and has been for the last few laps.
Something's wrong with Tony.
Burton was about half a second behind Stewart, but blasted past him and has run off now. Stewart's lead last time by over Kenseth was 2 seconds.
He's lost his cylinder, Mike.
This time it's just half a second. Matt?
Tony Stewart just came on the radio and said all of the gauges look okay, but it feels like the motor has fallen off.
Yeah, he came by here and he sounded like he was pulling a subsaw, so I think he's pretty well lost his cylinder.
And I'm going to tell you what, we talked about Ryan Newman earlier, hitting the wall he's hit here the last few races. You look at Tony Stewart in the last 6 races, 4 DNFs from 2nd to 17th in points, and it's a long way to go if he's down a cylinder.
And it's just an incredible thing how the 18 last year seemed to have all the bad luck. Tony didn't. This year the 18's running great. Tony's got all the bad luck.
Let's give a listen to Stewart here.
Flat.
Yeah. 4 DNFs in the last 6 events. And where he's been in the points, without the DNFs, he'd be 3rd. But he comes here 7th.
And you can lose those points in a hurry, but it takes forever to get them back.
Excuse me, he comes here 17th in the standings.
Loses another position to Jeff Gordon.
Tony Stewart trying to diagnose what's wrong with the 20's engine. He said that he went to the backup ignition box and the entire car shut off, went back to the original box. He says it does sound like it's down a cylinder right now. Greg Zipadelli and the team, they're talking things over, but things do not look good at this point for Stewart.
You can ride around the rest of the race like that, but riding's not racing.
Yeah, and the thing about it is it'll beat itself. You know, this far to go in the race, it'll just beat itself to pieces.
There you see right now he's about 9 miles per hour, which equates to about a second a lap off of our leader right now, Matt Kenseth.
That puts 3 Fords at the front of the field. Kenseth, Sadler, and Kurt Busch.
And 2 of those Fords are Roush Fords.
Imagine that. Boy, I tell you what, they have got a hold on this 600-mile race over here.
Well, to me, the thing that's phenomenal, Chris Myers mentioned earlier the last 4 Coca-Cola 600s, but it's been with 3 different drivers. To me, that's more phenomenal than 4 in a row.
Yeah, and you might say, well, they back the performance down, but those cars are always fast over here. They always run up front, and so it's not like they don't have the power.
So it's been 5 years since any car owner but Jack Roush went to victory lane in this race, Jeff.
Right now we're looking here at Greg Zippodelli and Roger Purcell, who's an engine tuner on the 20 car, and he's going to get an opportunity right now maybe to work on his car. We got a caution out, 19 cars. Jeremy Mayfield's in the wall, so these guys may get an opportunity to come down pit road, and maybe it's a spark plug or something they can fix on Tony Stewart's car and get him back in the race as we look at our leader, Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, the caution's out. Jeff, what I saw the engine tuner with, he's got a can of like brake cleaner or something, and what he's going to do, they're going to raise the hood and spray each exhaust pipe, and that'll tell them which cylinder's cold, which cylinder's not firing. Or a can of WD-40. And then you'll try to figure out, is it a spark plug or what you maybe can do. Or, not a lot you can do.
Yeah, it could be a rocker arm broken, and you could fix that, but it's going to take time.
But they won't at least determine which cylinder maybe has went down on them.
So this officially is the 3rd caution of this race. We began under caution for 3 laps, drying the track from rains 2 hours earlier. Caution at lap 103 for rain, and this is caution number 3.
And of course, Jeff Burton in the 99 gets his lap back. He's back in the hunt now.
Another Roush car still in the picture.
And I'm going to tell you a car that was still on the lead lap that had made no ground up whatsoever, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He pretty much was stuck back there at 24th and had not made any moves at all. Here you're riding with him in the Budweiser car.
Yeah, the car didn't look good either. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it wasn't going anywhere.
Jeremy Mayfield crashed going into turn 1 and rode the wall to a halt in the middle of turn 2.
Listen, that's a hard hit, guys. When you see that right front tire right there shoved all the way over to there, well, that's not a good sign.
We've already documented you drive off into turn 1 here almost 190 miles per hour.
And I'm sure that was very unexpected.
The pits are open, and here they come. Led by Matt Kenseth. Dick Bergman.
Jimmie Johnson's race car has been passing cars like crazy, but it is still tight. Been tight all night, so they're going to put a round wedge in the right side, put 4 tires on it. When Chris Anderson drops the jack, he'll be gone. Steve.
Justin Nottestead and Jeremy West changing tires for Matt Kenseth. No other adjustments, just a set of tires for Matt Kenseth. He's away.
Matt?
Mike, they have raised the hood on Tony Stewart's Chevrolet. Roger Purcell, the new engine tuner this year for Tony Stewart's car, under the hood, trying to diagnose what's wrong. They've got their spotter, Mark Robertson, keeping an eye on where the pace car is so they can try to get as much time on pit road to diagnose what's wrong. They're not really saying anything on the radio. A lot of Hanson, a lot of verbal conversation, but they're huddled around the left side of the engine.
Matt Kenseth leads Elliott Sadler off pit road, and Jeremy Mayfield has climbed out of his car with a wave to the fans. He is okay.
That was a very hard lick. Now the lead lap, the field is over in turn 3. There you see Tony Stewart pulling away. Not sure if they've actually determined what the problem is, but if they've determined it, like you said, Mike, now, is there anything we can do to fix it?
A caution's a break for them, as it was for Jeff Burton, who had raced his way around Stewart's sailing car to get back on the lead lap. 129 laps complete in the Coke 600. 4 years since any car owner has gone to victory lane here in the Coke 600, but Jack Roush. And if you haven't looked forward lately, look again at the front of the field. There are 3 of them. 2 owned by Roush, and the middle one, the 38 of Elliott Sadler, owned by Robert Yates.
Mark Martin's in the pit with the hood up, and he came down pit road smoking. So that's one Roush car that I don't think is going to make it tonight.
Because he just went a lap down sitting on pit road.
The defending champ of this race, and there's the cat in the hat. Former drag racer, engine builder, multi-car team owner, Jack Roush. Jeff Hammond.
Mike, right now we're down here at our cutaway engine. I want to talk about maybe what happened to Tony Stewart and what Roger Purcell and those guys were trying to do. When the car came in, they were actually trying to check the temperature right in these exhaust pipes here. These are the headers. They were checking the temperature to try to figure out which one of them maybe wasn't firing. Then they can work on that particular cylinder. What they're looking to do to try to figure out maybe if they got a spark plug wire that maybe got burnt off or came loose. This here hooks onto the spark plug down in here. And if it's not hooked up properly, it can make the engine misfire. Or if they had broken a rocker arm, again, what makes the valve work up and down as far as getting fuel and exhaust in and out of the engine, if one of these valve springs are broken or this rocker arm right here maybe is broken, then they can bring it in, take the valve cover off and replace this if it's not too bad, or work on these spark plug wires or spark plug. All these things, they're just trying to diagnose it just like it would be if you were a doctor. He's come in, he's trying to analyze what's wrong with the engine, if they can fix it, or if it'll live the remainder of this race, which for Tony Stewart, it could be in jeopardy. This is a long, long race.
Mark Cronquist, Chief Engine Builder at Joe Gibbs Racing.
Works very, very hard at his job.
Well, I tell you, I don't envy these engine builders, though, Mike. I mean, they're turning these things 9,000 RPM now for a long, long period of time. That's just tough.
Let's change the carburetor. Carburetor being a French word, meaning leave it alone. Here's Matt.
Mike, that's exactly what they're going to do. They were debating whether they had enough time. Finally, they just said, you know what? We don't have anything else to lose. Let's go ahead and try that. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe that will be what's wrong with this race car, Jeff Hammond.
Right here, we're at the Ford cutaway car now. This is the carburetor.
They waved it off.
And then what they're thinking about doing right now is changing this carburetor. Now, Darrell, you and I both have been through this before. We've been able, you can change a carburetor place like Charlotte if everybody's doing their job. All you got to do is you got to loosen this linkage up, take these 4 bolts here loose, and disconnect the fuel line going in as well as the fuel pressure line at the back. So what they'll do, if they get that opportunity, is to try to make that exchange. Now, I understand they decided not to, but they're prepared if they have to because they're getting ready to go green. But if he's able to stay out there and get a caution, you look for these guys to possibly change this carburetor on Tony Stewart's car. Mike?
Getting set for the restart, 24 cars on the lead lap, led by Matt Kenseth. And the folks up in the blimp want us to crank it up.
I'm with them.
Ready.
I'm with you, fellas.
Ready. Green, 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 green.
Now that's the sound and fury of 33,000 collective horsepower.
Exactly, all in one group except for Tony Stewart being down a cylinder. A lot of horsepower.
Steve Burns.
Mike, just want to follow up on that red flag. When Dale Earnhardt Jr. got out of his race car, he went over to the crew. Darrell was right. He tried to calm them down. He said, guys, we can't win a championship this way, but let's get our heads back in this race. There's a long way to go. He was laughing and joking by the time he left to go back in the race car. But again, Darrell was right. He was working to calm his crew down.
I'm going to tell you what, Steve, the man that has his head in the game, Jimmie Johnson, in that 48 car, these cautions has helped him really catch up. Remember, started shotgun on the field right at the tail end. Because of that engine change, he's up to the 6th position.
From 42nd to 6th for Jimmie Johnson today.
Well, he's been the fastest car here for a week and a half now, ever since we've been over here for the Winston and practice and everything, except just had bad luck qualifying.
Right now, he's right behind his teammate and partial car owner, Jeff Gordon, right in front of him in the 24 car.
We passed the 200-mile mark, about 400 miles to go here in Charlotte.
Jeff Gordon in the 24. He gets past, but look at this lob in front of these guys. These are all lap down cars. John Andretti, Mike Wallace, as well as Jeff Green.
Boy, Mike Wallace is just saying, man, let me out of here. You don't want to be 3 wide, and you're the one in the middle, I can tell you that.
And it all settles out. Matt Yoakum is with Tony Stewart's crew chief.
Greg, you've been able to narrow down what may be the problem with the engine?
I don't know. All the basic stuff that we could check on that Home Depot Chevrolet was everything shows to be good. All the cylinders seem to be firing. I don't know if we got a broken inner valve spring or an out air. It just says it's running on like 7 cylinders. Just don't go down the straightaway. It's a shame. That car was pretty good this week, and seems like we're snake bit. We'll just keep digging here, and I don't know. Maybe it'll turn around here. We'll just head to Dover and try to get one there.
And Tony Stewart having good spirits with the problems at hand. Even joked around at one point and said, you know, we've been so snake bit, I think we all just need to go to a church retreat and see maybe we can just shake it.
And yeah, if none of the cylinders are cold, all the pipes seem like they're burning. That rules out pretty much spark plug wire and spark plug like Jeff Hammond was showing. But yeah, if it's a valve spring or even maybe a rocker arm, the cylinder will still be firing.
Michael Waltrip running 7th. The Napa number 15. Robbie Gordon a lap down just ahead. Jeff Gordon right on his bumper. Double wide just in front of them. And Jeff Green steps aside to the outside.
Michael's done a really good job. You know, he had trouble on the start and fell way back, but him and Slugger have done a great job of getting that car tuned up, and he's been passing a lot of cars too.
I'll tell you what, though, I talked to a guy last night.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Man, that 25 car just took off and hit the 23 in the door.
And of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car, and Darrell, you and I were talking to break. I think the big fear that Dale Earnhardt Jr. had, not how long the race is, not how good a car he has, being back in the pack, that's what got him in trouble in the Winston.
You got it. Sorry, but this right here got my attention. They go down in the corner here, and the 25's on the bottom. Here comes Kenny Wallace up on the outside, and there's the 30 underneath, and they make contact, and they go bam, bam, like bumper cars. Everybody hung on, though.
The bumper cars at about 180 miles per hour. How about this guy right here, Ward Burton in the 22 car? He's qualified back in provisional land 41st, and he's up to the 11th position. In that first 100-lap run, he was in a few seconds of going a lap down, but you know what? His crew chief, Frankie Stoddard, Mike, you mentioned earlier, Jeff Burton winning this race in 1999 and 2001. His crew chief was Frankie Stoddard. He knows about making adjustments and keeping up with this racetrack.
And just ahead of him, the black and green 77 of Dave Blaney. Cody Barker's improved on that car, although they've been staying around the top 15 for most all of the 200 miles that we've run so far. Matt Kenseth running quietly, in a sense that, Darrell, he sneaks up on the lead, and before you know it, he's running off with the race.
We saw him yesterday. He just kind of laid back there. What gets me, he never qualifies all that great.
No.
But, buddy, when that race starts, he just quietly eases his way up front, and the first thing you know, he makes a great pit stop. His team does. He's out front, and he's the man to beat.
You know, it should have been our first clue. He qualified for this race 18th, and that's about 10 spots better than his usual windup in the grid.
And just remember, he won that Busch race yesterday, too, as well. I'm sure that helped. But I'm going to tell you, this Jimmie Johnson in this Lowe's car, he keeps easing to the front. I've been watching the scoring monitor. About every other lap, he actually runs a lap quicker than our leader, Matt Kenseth.
Dick Bergman.
Well, you listen to the radio, and a lot of drivers will tell their crew chiefs what they want to do on a pit stop. Pound of air here, pound of air out of someplace else, wedge, whatever. That's not the way Jimmie Johnson and his crew chief, Chad Knaus, do it. Jimmie, all night long, has been describing the behavior of his car. He pretty much has said it's been tight, and Johnson has had a good guy making the calls. Knaus has called every change that they made on the car, and just a few moments ago, Jimmie Johnson keyed the radio and said just 2 words: it's perfect. But Chad Knaus is smart enough to know he still have to make small adjustments on that race car. Remember, a year ago, till a late race pit stop, Jimmie Johnson dominated this race in his rookie season.
And think about
turn 2. Craig Biffle almost, no, Jack Sprague almost went around. He saved it.
And Jack was running up in the 16th, 17th position. He is still on the lead lap.
One of the things we're talking about, Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus, what did they learned last year how to win the Winston. They learned last year how to lose the 600, but I bet they don't do the same thing again this year.
from the Goodyear blimp. Watch the black and red car.
That baby is,
wow,
for all intent and purposes, spun out.
Zero, my hero. What a save.
Just gets in on the outside. You can get down into turn one real hard on the outside, but as you go over the hump down there into the corner, the back end will come up a little bit and the car will jump sideways with you.
Another look at it from Jamie McMurray. You can see the whole door.
You can get by with that down in 3 and 4, but it don't work that good down in 1 and 2. Steve Burns, what are they saying about Jack Sprague's car?
Well, it's more what Jack Sprague is saying, Larry Mack. About 10 laps ago, he said the transmission is rattling really badly. He's afraid that it's going to come apart at any time, but they're just trying to encourage him just to keep going. He's also having some radio transmission problems, so few problems for Jack Sprague to contend with.
Now, maybe, just maybe, I'm guessing that he's holding the thing in gear and driving the car with one hand. And so you get down in that corner and it gets a little loose with you and you don't have both hands on the wheel.
What's the pucker factor when you get that far sideways at that speed?
On a scale of
it's one to anything you want.
It's real high.
Yeah.
The voice definitely changes.
150 laps, 225 miles in the Coca-Cola 600. Matt Kenseth, the Winston Cup point leader by 20 points over Dale Earnhardt Jr., has stepped it out to a 2-second lead over his Roush Racing teammate Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte, and 42nd starter, 5th place running, Jimmie Johnson. Welcome back to Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte, North Carolina, where Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch now lead Bobby Labonte in 3rd place. Elliott Sadler 4th, and Jimmie Johnson closing on the leader at about 1/10 of a second per lap in 5th. Johnson is a driver on the fast track, but we talked with him about his time away from the Speedway.
I really like just to be outside and stay active. I love the mountain bike. I love water skiing and wakeboarding. I love to snow ski. And every once in a while as well, go shooting. There's a place up the street from my house where we'll go skeet shooting or sporting clay shooting. Have fun doing that. So, you know, there's quite a few things. Don't really have the time to do much of any of them. The lake side of things and being, you know, living in North Carolina on a lake, I find myself out on the water more than anything.
Jimmie Johnson 5th and closing on the leader. He moves to 4th place over Elliott Sadler. The Winston Cup champion came in here 17th in points. He's now in the garage. Tony Stewart pulls that ailing car down pit road, and instead of to his pit stall, makes the left turn into the Winston Cup garage.
Yeah, he took it straight to the hauler, Mike. He just drove it up to the back door there. I say, he says, load this thing up and let's get out of here.
And if this is a did not finish for him, we talked about this earlier, this would be 5 in 7 races. I know he won the championship last year with 6 DNFs. Won't happen this year.
Not this year, baby.
Pole sitter Ryan Newman, after leading the first 50 laps of this race, has settled in at 11th, just ahead of Dale Jarrett.
Dale Jarrett? Did you mention Dale Jarrett?
In 12th place.
You know, I haven't talked a lot about him, but don't count that cat out either, because he likes to run this race. He's pretty good in a 600-miler.
And he's like a lot like Mark Martin you talked about. You don't really know what he has until those final 100 miles or so. He was not very good in either practice yesterday. We sat up here and watched him, Darrell. He was not fast. He was not good on long runs, but he's sitting there hanging out, and he's only he's about a half a lap behind our leader right now, Matt Kenseth.
Well, maybe he did like they did down at Rockingham, and he got the 38 car set up, because the 38 car is pretty darn good today. And this is an improvement for the 88 car.
In the UPS car, Dale Jarrett, he did test out here.
Matt Kenseth at the front by 1.6 seconds over Kurt Busch. And we did a little eavesdropping.
How's everything looking? Pretty cool?
Yeah, you 3 guys are running pretty good. Johnson's about the same speed, and he's a couple 3 seconds behind you.
10-4.
Just want to know kind of what's going on out there. I don't have a lot of people around me right now, in front of me or behind me. Just kind of let me know what these guys I'm racing up here, Darrell's doing.
Like he tuned in for a news report.
But I like that. you know, just a little information here. You're holding your own. You got the Jimmie Johnson, who everybody knows probably the fastest car out there. You're holding your own with him, and the first 3 or 4 guys are better than everybody else.
Now, Bobby Labonte runs in third, while his Joe Gibbs Chevrolet teammate, Tony Stewart, is in the garage. Steve Burns.
Mike, Tony drove the car right to the truck, but since they backed it up into a garage stall, one of the Joe Gibbs Racing employees has a carburetor. It looks like they may try to swap that out. They brought the pit box back here, so work continues. Tony Stewart still in the race car as they thrash to try to get this 20 car back in the race.
Larry, how deep in that engine can they go changing parts and pieces?
I mean, you can change anything about that engine or on that engine. You just cannot change the block itself. You can't change the entire engine. You can change cylinder heads, intake manifold, anything that's bolted in or on that engine, but you have to finish your race with the same block assembly that you start the race with. That's the NASCAR rule. I think old DW and that group kind of started that rule.
Yeah, we changed engines at Martinsville back in the 70s. Buddy Parrott and me and Robert Yates changed it in 11 minutes. And that was like the fastest anybody done it. But people started trying to do that, and they left lines loose, and car owners started complaining about blowing up 2 motors instead of 1, and so they made a rule against it. I don't know about Bobby Labonte. You know, he was complaining about not feeling well, and they changed his helmet. Wasn't getting enough air. Had a headache. Matt, has he gotten any better?
Well, DW, he really hasn't mentioned the headache lately, and they feel like that the problem with his air conditioning unit, it just plain froze up, so now he's just having to use the regular air that circulates through into the car, into the helmet. They made a small air pressure adjustment, DW, on his last stop, but the car is still a tick on the loose side. It doesn't allow him to drive the line that he would really like to right now.
Well, when that air box is not working, it's just like driving your passenger car with the air conditioner off and the windows rolled up. That's what it feels like.
Jack Spray continues to have a tough time. Let's have a look at this replay. The 0 car.
Down on the bottom here. Whoa, whoa, baby.
About the same thing that happened on the exit of turn 2 earlier happened there on turn 4.
That car starts saying, hey, Sprague, whoa, 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 and he turned the car and the thing jumped sideways with him.
Jack qualified 5th. He is still a lead lap car running 18th.
The amazing thing about that, he still completed a pass on Kevin Harvick, the 29 car.
Scared himself right by him.
See Steve Park in the 30 car, he'll be going a lap down. He's in the 23rd position, but I'm going to tell you, ever since that miscue on the pit stop, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the number 8 car, he's about 4 or 5 seconds from going a lap down to the man he's battling for the points championship right now, Matt Kenseth.
And Larry, you talk about when things go good, they go really good. When they go bad,
they go really bad. And the hits just keep on coming.
More than 2 hours here at the Coca-Cola 600. It was a green-yellow start. Ryan Newman, the pole sitter, had a little plastic wrapper on the front grille of his car, led for 49 laps. They had rain, little red flag. Dale Earnhardt Jr. went from 7th to 24th after a problem with his pit crew. When they restarted, Tony Stewart was the leader, wound up leading 67 laps. But he had some problems that have cost him, Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, you see right there, they got the hood up on the 20 car. He's definitely got some kind of engine problem, but just right after that, the 19 car of Jeremy Mayfield hit the wall. Caution came out for that, but as you see right now, the 20 car of Tony Stewart is being loaded on the trailer, and there's our leader right there, Matt Kenseth. He continues to march through the field.
Yeah, Tony Stewart, lap 161 in the garage. Jeremy Mayfield, okay, by the way, later released at the Care Center in the 19 car. Let's check in on Jimmie Johnson. Started at the back of the pack, worked his way all the way up to 4th in the 48 car, the Lowe Chevrolet. Let's listen in. Crew Chief Chad Knaus.
Maintain the lead without killing my right front.
Pretty quick the way it is. You can get to it pretty easy. I'll let you know. Be ready.
All right, what you listen to right there is that Jimmie Johnson has called in and told Chad Knaus what the car is doing, and he's getting prepared on the next pit stop or caution. When they come down pit road, they're going to try to pull a rubber out, try to free the car up a little bit more. And what Chad has told that tire changer there is, I will let you know whether or not we've got time to make that kind of adjustment, or if the car is changed and come back the other way a little bit, then they may wave it off. So it will be a communication between the driver as well as the pit crew, you know, to see whether or not that chassis adjustment is done for
Jimmie Johnson.
All right, meanwhile, the leader, Matt Kenseth, let's listen in. He's led 56 of 177 laps. Let's listen in with the crew chief on the 17 car.
To make a wedge adjustment in the right rear, we come into Robbie, probably about 3/4 of a turn down on the right rear, so. Definitely getting tighter. I'm starting to push in the middle here. Just trying to maintain the lead without killing my right front.
Now, Chris, right there, you're hearing Matt Kenseth, who's the leader right now, talk to Robbie Reiser to let him know he's trying to pace himself to save his right front tire, but when they do come in, he wants to free the car up. Again, this is Charlotte. We're starting to go through that transitional period. Track is cooling down, the sun's going away, so the cars are going to start to tighten up. So, Larry, you got to start freeing that bad boy up and stay up with the track.
I mean, that's it. This is the first time. Here it is about 8 p.m. Eastern time, and now the track is completely shaded. There's no sun on the racetrack. An interesting thing I'm here with Chad Knaus, and Darrell and I were talking about this a while ago. They've got one of the fastest race cars out there. A rubber is a major adjustment, but Chad Knaus knows this racetrack is going to change.
Now let's take on the lead here is Kurt Busch. Matt Kenseth is about to be overhauled by his teammate.
The car's getting tight. And what I really like is the fact that you go down on that right rear, that raises that right rear corner up, pushes that left front corner down, and really helps the grip, makes the car turn better.
And of course, their other teammate, Jeff Burton, remember the last time the caution flew, he made his lap back up. They just put him back down another lap in the 99 car. We've been seeing it all night long in 3 and 4. The two cars running at the front of the pack battling for the lead. Not here necessarily in 1 and 2, but down in 3 and 4, you'll see one at the bottom of the racetrack. And like Kurt Busch, the last time through 3 and 4 in the 97 car, he was right up against the wall.
It's just really difficult, almost impossible to get into turn 1 up high, but not a problem over in 3 and 4.
Ricky Craven has been running way up high. Kenseth's spotter clued him in. Downstairs he goes and gains a little separation on Kurt Busch.
That's what I like the tires. I know they made a little adjustment here this week with the tire situation, but it wasn't too terribly long ago, Mike and Larry, that we had followed the leader racing. You had to run around the bottom of the racetrack on the white line if you were going to pass anybody or if you're going to be fast. Now we got cars running everywhere.
We also got some cars dropping back everywhere, too. Elliott Sadler in the 38 car, he just lost 2 or 3 positions. You saw Michael Waltrip in the 15 just go by him. He's back to 7th position.
Matt has more.
And Elliott Sadler was just passed by Michael Waltrip on the racetrack. Raymond Fox talking to his team, making the calls. They're going to pit around lap 190 to 194. Raymond, what's Elliott saying about the race car?
Right now we're way too loose for some reason. We tightened him up before that rain delay, and now we're getting way too loose, so we're making drastic changes to tighten him up.
Meanwhile, John Andretti has bounced off the wall coming off turn 4.
Terry Labonte bounced him off the wall. Terry got under him coming through 3 and 4. They come off turn 4 down there, and Terry just drove into the side of him, and they both just about turned it around.
No caution, but now tire smoke from Andretti's car from that contact.
Here comes a 5 on the pit road. He's got trouble.
Let's show you what happened.
Bam.
See that so many times coming off turn 4. The car just lunges to the outside, and at that time, John Andretti just happened to be there.
Larry, when you're down under somebody like that, it's almost like somebody jacks the front end of your car up. You got the wheels turned, you're in the throttle, you're making a pass, all of a sudden that sucker breaks loose, and into the guy beside you go.
They were battling for 26th place, and now the left rear tire on John Andretti's car is going flat.
Yeah, John's way up there. He almost spun the thing out. He's trying to get down the pit road. He just, he made it.
And the thing about it, we were within about a 10-lap window, most of these leaders and everybody coming to pit road anyhow for a green flag stop, so this won't completely kill them.
Steve Burns.
An update on Tony Stewart down here in the garage. Engine tuner Mark Cronquist just changed spark plugs. They put the air cleaner back on. They're going to try and send Tony Stewart back out on the racetrack to see if they can get back up to speed.
He spent 30 laps in the garage, Steve. Been a tough day for the Andrettis. Michael failing to finish what he says is his last Indy 500. His cousin John getting bounced into the wall here in Charlotte. Matt Kenseth leads at lap 186. Green flag pit stops. Jimmy Spencer surrenders 10th. Dale Jarrett comes in. He's the 10th place car right now. Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace in the pit lane along with Kyle Petty. Here's DJ heading for his pit stall. Rusty Wallace in as well. Everybody 4 tires and fuel. Dick.
This crew is going to adjust, and they are going to pull the rubber out of the left rear. They had discussed doing that. Ryan Malik is the rear tire carrier, and Ryan Peppa is the rear tire changer. Peppa, boom, that thing came flying out of there. He threw it about 10 feet in the air. Here goes Johnson. The car had gotten tight.
Jeff Gordon is in. So is Elliott Sadler. And so is Jeff Green.
And that looked like about a half a rubber in that left rear spring. And what these guys do is they put a little handle on it made out of a tie wrap. You can yank it in a hurry.
And what that does, that opens up the rear spring split. In other words, the right rear is going to be a lot stiffer than the left rear. It's going to hold that right side up and let that left side fall out.
All the way in, all the way
Tony
out.
Raines, Bill Elliott. We ride with Michael Waltrip.
All right, come hard.
45 miles per hour. Again, Mike, like you pointed out, all these will be 4 tire stops and then making those adjustments as well. You saw him right there pull the windshield tear off. Things getting a little sand blasted. We're about 300 miles into this thing. Give them a fresh, clean view out the windshield.
Go, 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 go.
That's a good pit stop for that Napa group. 14.1 seconds.
Jack Sprague is in. Dave Blaney as well as pit stops continue. Pole sitter Ryan Newman coming in.
This will show you right there in the 2 box how good fresh tires are. Rusty Wallace in the 2 car just on pit road. There you see you got Matt Kenseth actually loose and just drives by him.
Mark Martin, same way.
Kurt Busch is in. So is Kevin Harvick and Kenny Wallace. Kurt Busch was the 2nd place car as they finish up on Newman. Kurt Busch has never had a top 10 here in Charlotte. Matt?
And Slugger Labby, the crew chief for Michael Waltrip, in the next pit over, you see the wedge wrench going in the back window for Kurt Busch. Walk down just to check and see what Kurt Busch was planning on pitting. They pitted 1 lap before. Kurt Busch just a little bit on the tight side. One other thing is 14.2 seconds for Busch. A lot of the spotters talking up on the spotter stand about weather. Some are saying it's anywhere from 8 to 30 miles away. Steve?
Matt Kenseth is a little bit on the tight side. Matt, Chris Brook and Brian Dunaway are the tire carriers. Benji Grubb is the gas man.
And Ricky Rudd gets a bath. We told you how wet the infield grass was, and he got it all.
And he saw an opening, but he was coming around turn 4. He saw an opening, and he tried to turn down on pit lane, and he was going way too fast.
No caution, as Rudd's car still moves at about 5 miles an hour.
If he sits there long, though, there's going to be a caution. This would be a big break for a lot of cars that have not pitted yet. We've got about 4 or 5 cars that have not been to pit road.
Guys, right now, he can't see. That's the reason why Ricky's not trying to go around the racetrack. And he's got other kind of problems there, too, but he's having a hard time seeing. Probably got a lot of mud and water on those tires. Doesn't want to take a chance.
I heard him just say, Jeff, he's out of gas, and the caution is out.
Okay, well, he's going to get a caution. It's going to help everybody right there. But Ricky was trying to make a smart move, not pull back in front of everybody at that time.
Boy, this is really going to joust this field up.
Let's show you what happened to Ricky Rudd during green flag stops. Here he comes.
He came, Mike, you see that opening? He came, tried to shoot in there. He was up in a high line coming through 3 and 4. He saw an opening. They must have told him to pit. He thought he could get it woed up, and he couldn't.
But I'm going to tell you what, Darrell, that's something you won't see. A person like Ricky Rudd, you won't see him make that mistake very often.
Let's listen to the onboard, see if the engine's running.
The thing could have run out of fuel up in the middle of the corner, and he had to turn it to try to get the pit lane. That's a possibility, too.
But of our leaders, the only ones that have not been to pit road is Bobby Labonte, Greg Biffle, and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Dale Jr. needed something good to happen to him.
Yes, he did.
He was in trouble. Holy cow.
I mean, right now, those cars I talked about, they're the only cars on the lead lap. But what will happen with a lot of these guys is because they just were to pit road, after those 3 leaders pit, they'll be at the front of them on the tail end of the lead lap. They will stay out.
We just seem to, this happens so often this year.
Ricky Rudd's car either was out of gas or that long slide through the deep water in the grass soaked everything in the electronics so it wouldn't run. Matt?
Well, Michael Fatback McSwain just told Bobby Labonte, be very cautious with the throttle. We are borderline on fuel. He was getting ready to pit, give a call to his spotter, Rick Cordell. When he saw the 21 come down through the grass, he said, stay out, stay out, stay out, because he was going to make his way to pit road that lap.
But what I like is Tony Stewart, his teammate, is right behind him. Should he run out, Tony Stewart can push him. You can push someone as long as it's not the last lap of the race. But it looks like he's going to make it to pit road.
Lonely on pit road right now.
Kevin LePage coming in, the Fast Boys Wings Ford behind. And this is the bumper cam on Ricky Rudd with a whole grill full of wrecker pushing him around to the pits. Matt?
And they're going to make a track bar adjustment on Bobby Labonte's Chevrolet. He said he just feels like he doesn't have much downforce on the nose in 3 and 4, but it's not as bad in turns 1 and 2. Jason Lee ready to drop the jack, and they packed that fuel cell full of fuel. He was on fumes, Steve.
Well, Matt, this is a big break for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Actually, he told the crew that his car had been driving a little bit better here of late. But again, a big break for the 8 car as they get their service, and Earnhardt Jr. is away.
Everybody's bad luck is somebody's good luck.
Like I said, Dale Jr. needed a break, and that's it.
Under caution, a lap 2:01 for Ricky Rudd. Slide through the mud. Getting set to go racing, and there are 12 cars on the tail end of the lead lap who did not pit before the 3 cars that came to the caution on the lead lap. Bobby Labonte, Greg Biffle, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had not pitted. And there is Labonte. He is the race leader, but he is well back in the outside line of lead lap cars.
Yeah, he's 13th, which means basically with the 2 double file restarts, like restarting 26. So this is when it gets nail biting, even though you're the leader of the race.
And as we always say, guys, cautions, precautions, particularly when you're in desperation mode.
And right now there are a dozen drivers desperate to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, guys that were running so well.
And they've got to stay in front of Bobby Labonte until the next caution to do that. There's Kenny Wallace.
Reaching up there and pulling those belts tight. Good thing to do here as the pace car's off, and we go racing with about 196 laps to go.
This could get really interesting. Will Fox Track's Bobby Labonte the leader in the middle of this pack? Here we go.
Going up through the gearbox. Over 100 miles per hour before he gets to the start-finish line. Stay with him right here. Remember, he's about 13th in line.
Now, in addition, there are lap-down cars who are getting back on the lead lap up at the front of that group. This could get nasty, and it gets 3 wide. Down into the corner.
Caught in a trap and can't get out.
Well, we just about had a big problem right up there at the front of this pack.
If we have a problem, it's going to be big. I can promise you that.
Yeah, that was Jack Sprague in the 0 car right there with Kevin Harvick and Jimmie Johnson.
And the leader, Bobby Labonte, is now 14th in line. Steve Burns.
Mike, interesting radio transmission from Dale Earnhardt Jr. after his pit stop. He said, guys, I'm tight in the center, but I didn't want to tell you about the tightness. I need that, and I didn't want you to take it away from me when you made changes to the car.
I mean, just again, it's like they're not on sync with even their communication about that race car right now.
They've had some real problems down there tonight. They just seem to be all disorganized tonight for some reason.
At the front of the pack is Kurt Busch. Matt Kenseth, his teammate, Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, Elliott Sadler, Ryan Newman, Michael Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, and then the race leader, Bobby Labonte. All this happened because the caution came out for Ricky Rudd before Bobby Labonte, Greg Biffle, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. had pitted under the green flag. When you pit under green, you lose a lap to the leader, and since they had not pitted, they're the only 3 cars on the lead lap. But for the cars who did not pit under caution and who are out in front of them in the running order right now.
Because they stayed out. And there you see the Fox tracks. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 8 car. Tell you what, we need to document also Tony Stewart. I believe whatever they did to that race car, Darrell, I think they definitely fixed it. Even though he's out there, he's 31 laps down, but it definitely looks like it's running up to speed.
Better than it was, for sure.
Yeah, that engine sounds like it has some life to it now.
Lap times aren't all that great, but, you know, he's just out there probably putting in laps now.
That's all he needs to do.
The other factor is the W factor. Weather. Chad Knaus and Jimmie Johnson.
I know you're doing everything you can, Parker, but we got a bunch of rain coming.
And what makes that even more of a factor is we are an official race now. We are 9 laps past halfway.
But we do have lights.
There you see our track temperature. Remember, this race started about 2.5, almost 3 hours ago, 88 degrees. Now it's down to 77 degrees with no sun whatsoever, and that's more like the track temperature was yesterday morning when these guys were practicing. And there you see our radar right here. Here's Charlotte Motor Speedway right in there. And you see that weather. It's moving this way on us, so we might get that weather right there.
Ricky Craven has been trying to scramble here and get himself back into contention. However, watch the orange 32 at the bottom right. Up he goes.
Wow. Car just took off on him. They definitely have had their hands full of that car. He's back in 35th position, about 3 laps down.
Bobby Labonte leads Greg Biffle by 1.2 seconds. Labonte is trying to tiptoe through these cars that are trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. He got Dale Jarrett and his teammate Elliott Sadler.
Ryan Newman just ran him up the hill down there in turns 1 and 2 to stay in front of him, and then that allowed Elliott Sadler to come back around him as well. So he's got his hands full right now.
Spencer almost lost it.
Pretty loose coming off turn 4 right there in front of Bobby Labonte. Jimmy Spencer with a 7 car.
Bobby Labonte fighting tough traffic. He is the race leader, but a lot of cars trying to stay on the lead lap just ahead of him. Welcome back to the Coke 600. Bobby Labonte, now Dale Earnhardt Jr. is second because Greg Biffle had to pit.
Yeah, I mean, he came to pit road on the green. He was only there for about 3 or 4 seconds, and all they did, besides put a little gas in him, is they reached up there and pulled one of the windshield tear-offs. No adjustments, no tires changed, just reached up there, and watch, he's only going to be there for a couple of seconds, just pulled one of the tear-offs, and he's away. But I think I can show you why he had to come to pit road on the green and give up second place. We're riding with Dale Jarrett right here in the UPS car. How would you like to be running 190 miles per hour looking at that? And I think the reason we see this is because Kenny Wallace for getting a report in the 23 car possibly is blowing some oil. And there he is right there.
He's coming to pit road and you can see the smoke.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like the oil. That would be oil and water down the side of that car.
Slow and steam, guys.
Yeah,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that milky mess means something inside the engine isn't where it's supposed to be.
Stick me with a fork, I'm done. Steve Burns.
And Mike, we have found the tear-off that came off of Greg Biffle's windshield, and you can see, you can't even see through it. That's how murky it was for Greg Biffle.
So Biffle was second. He pitted to remove the tear-off and then was too fast leaving the pits. He had to serve a drive-through penalty, and now he has dropped to 17th place.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what kind of shield you've got or anything else. You're not going to see through that right there. That's what the drivers are looking through that got involved in that were behind him. But I couldn't help but think about Christian Fittipaldi the other night. We were talking on the trackside show, and he said, what happened to that guy anyway? And I said, he blowed up. He said, do what? He said, oh, he blew up. I got you.
They did push Kenny Wallace's car behind the garage, and that's only 2 cars out, well past the halfway point. Kenny Wallace now joins Jeremy Mayfield.
Wow.
Now, the track is reported clear, so all of that was spewing out of Kenny Wallace's car stayed on.
Car around turn 4.
Junior.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was running in the second position.
I think he kept it off the wall.
Caution is out. A bunch of cars go down pit road to avoid him.
I think he kept it off the wall. He may have bumped it a little bit.
How many will beat Bobby Labonte back to the line and get back on the lead lap?
He's got a minimum amount of damage on that 8 car.
Labonte is midway in the backstretch. So here comes Jimmie Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, Michael Waltrip, Ryan Newman, Sterling Marlin, all to get back on the lead lap ahead of race leader Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, Michael Waltrip, if you mentioned him, looked like Dave Blaney as well. So about 8 or 9 cars got their lap back.
This time, somebody's bad luck was a lot of folks' good luck. There goes Junior.
Yeah, I've never seen, I've been coming here for a long time, and they're running a lot closer and higher all the way through 3 and 4 this year than I've ever seen them before.
What I'm amazed how many cars, and he did just look like barely kissed the wall, is how many cars have been spinning there and not hitting that wall hard.
Now watch how he has a handful here.
Look at his rear brake. Look at his rear brake rotor in there, Larry. It's like it's on fire.
Steve Burns is in Junior's pit.
And made a track bar adjustment, but Mike, is an interesting thing. The left rear tire, it looked like the brake rotors were glowing bright orange red. And the right one as well.
Both rear rotors.
Are there flames in there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I saw him come down pit road, and the rear rotors are all glowing red like that. I mean, he spun the car. He had to be hard on the brakes. Maybe they just haven't cooled back down yet.
But I'm going to tell you what, Darrell, because this being a 1.5 mile speedway, there you see Bobby Labonte, our leader right now, coming to pit road, is these cars are running smaller and smaller brakes on the rear. And if he really had to get on them right there as he was spinning, it probably did overheat those rear rotors.
Yeah, you'd think by the time we went all the way around the racetrack, though, that they would cool off.
So now we have 12 cars on the lead lap, and here they come to pit road. Matt?
Leader Bobby Labonte already in. 4-tire change. They backed up on the track bar adjustment they made on the last stop, and they made a wedge adjustment this time. Bobby said the car now has gone a little to the tight side off the corner. Nick?
Well, Jimmie Johnson has also pitted. They really didn't want to do it because Chad Knaus knows that the rain is very close, but he said that they just had to do it. Steve?
And Dick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. back on pit road. Dale Earnhardt Jr. says the brakes are okay, but they're worried about a brake line on the right side, and there's still flames I can see on the left side brake rotors.
Yeah, I think what happened is when he backed in the fence, he's knocked the brake line loose, and that's what's causing them to burn back, causing that fire back there, I think.
Yeah, because it's like both sides are burning right now, left rear and right rear.
Put the tire on right now. Pace car's in the middle of 3.
Tough night for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Bob, these pictures from the Florida-based Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. Each year, the Goodyear Blimp visits over 100 communities and participates in dozens of telecasts or major sporting events, and it's nice to have them with us. Bobby Labonte, pretty impressive leaderboard. Kenseth, Gordon, Busch, and Jimmie Johnson rounding out the top 5 under caution with 174 laps to go. Bobby Labonte won his first Winston Cup race here in 1995. They're getting ready to go green, so let's rejoin Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy.
Things are somewhat normal in that now 9 cars are on the lead lap, but the cars that got trapped a lap down in that run, Ward Burton, Elliott Sadler, Dale Jarrett, Joe Nemechek, Robbie Gordon, Rusty Wallace, Dave Blaney, Greg Biffle, Jack Sprague, and Kevin Harvick. So lead lap cars on the outside. We're back under green at 228 laps.
Yeah, just follow up a little on Dale Jr.'s brake problem. Come back in the pits that last time. They were back. Everything looked normal, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Had time to cool off. Jimmy Spencer, our Mongo, number 7. He's out front of leader Bobby Labonte. He's had a good race car. He was one of the ones that got trapped. Now he's out there hoping to get a caution where he can get back on the lead lap.
Also, let's mention that pole sitter Ryan Newman lost his right side window. It's a requirement that you have one, so he pitted to get one. He and Junior are at the tail end of the lead lap, but in sequence, not out in front of the leader.
Rather interesting, because same thing. Oh, car around on the back, guys.
Steve Park.
Caution is out, so Jimmy Spencer, Bobby Labonte's not going to let him just take it. Okay. He's going to have to earn it. Get this lap back around. Jimmy Spencer will get it back. Ward Burton will not get it back, as well as Elliott Sadler will not get his lap back either.
Give old Mongo a biscuit.
And now you can give him 4 fresh tires because he's back on the lead lap.
That's right. We're back in the race.
Steve Park, who moved to the Richard Childress.
Hey, Dave, he flat spotted his tires pretty good. You want to come on in right now instead of turning them fenders all to pieces?
what they were asking. Let's go ahead and pit before pit road's open. The penalties go to the tail end of the longest line.
Yeah, I think he can possibly, I don't know, Larry, if he can get in and get 4 and not lose a lap or not, because the pace car's at turn 3. Now he's going around.
See what happens to the blue and yellow car of Steve Park, the AOL Chevy.
Well, I think he just got high off of turn 2 and the thing came around on him.
Boy,
like
Kevin LePage.
So many other cars.
Excuse me, Kevin LePage and Ricky Rudd just squeaked by here.
Pretty much all by himself. It just looked like he got up a little high over there, and around she came.
Larry Foyt made a nice move to miss him also. Let's watch from Ricky Rudd's on board.
Oh, there's what happened. Looked like he made a little move there to get off of the 32 car and spun it out.
From all of us who work in and cover and cheer for this sport, courtesy of the Goodyear blimp, get well Jerry Nadeau, injured at Richmond, but up in the hospital there, awake, alert, sitting up, taking nourishment, holding the baby, and ordering ice cream. Get well soon. A normal restart with the leader out front, Bobby Labonte, Matt Kenseth, Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, Jimmie Johnson, Sterling Marlin, Michael Waltrip, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Spencer, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the lead lap cars.
All these restarts, all this doubling up and everything, I've been surprised we haven't had a big one, because these guys have been trying real hard to do that.
I'll tell you what, speaking of trying real hard, Matt Kenseth in that 17 car, he's trying to get the lead back here from Bobby Labonte. Bobby Labonte on the high side through 3 and 4, keeps that thing wound up right against the wall coming off.
Battle for the lead and 5 cars in it. Labonte slips a bit up high. Boy, that's going to cost him.
He is. He's going to pay a big price for that.
He's going to lose another spot to Jimmie Johnson in that 48 car. Just for the people that just joined us, the real story to me has been Jimmie Johnson. Remember, he started at the tail end of the field because of an engine change, and he has been coming all night long.
Things have really worked out well for him. He's gotten the cautions when he needed them, had great pit stops.
He's come from 42nd to 4th.
You know, Darrell, I just wonder, you know, most of our leaders did not pit. I almost get a feeling Bobby Labonte maybe didn't get his tires cleaned off that good, and he just couldn't get the car down. But now it looks like he's coming back to those guys.
It's kind of the history of that car, Larry, as you well know. That thing's a long-run specialist. Not always that great on the restarts, but that sucker gets going, kind of like Matt Kenseth.
350 of 600 miles now complete for Winston Cup point leader Matt Kenseth, trying to extend the Jack Roush domination of this race to 5 straight years that one of Roush's Fords has gone to victory lane here. Steve Burns.
And Mike, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is still very concerned about his brake problem. His spotter, Ty Norris, told him that they aren't glowing as badly as they were. In fact, the glowing has stopped. Tony Eury Jr. told him to turn the brake bias knob as far as he could one side and then to the other. They still don't know exactly what's wrong, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. says if I lose a brake rotor, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, you don't want to lose a brake rotor here. And what he's talking about, the brake adjuster, these cars have 2 master cylinders. One controls the front, one controls the rear, and the driver can adjust it to the handle of the car. But Darrell, I question, would that be the problem he has? There's something else wrong.
Something happened when he backed it up in the fence down here. He's bent something in the brake system. The rods that go to the master cylinder, I believe he's bent one of them.
Jimmie Johnson had a look under Kurt Busch at turn 4 for 3rd place. Matt Yoakum on Bobby Labonte.
Labonte's dropped back to 5th, and Mike, during that caution, an interesting conversation between Fatback McSwain, his crew chief, and Bobby. Bobby said that since we've gone to darkness, if he misses his marks by 2 feet or more, the car just goes all the way up to the top. He says very crucial that he hits his marks or the car just slides up to the top.
That's not the car's fault. That's tires. I mean, there's just a groove there, and you got to get in it, and you got to stay in it. If you get out of it, the car will take off a little bit with you. And we got a car slow off of 4. I think that's the
Jack Sprague's 0, yeah.
Sprague's had a spin and got really loose, and now comes on to pit road. He is 21st.
I'm going to tell you something not going to make Richard Childress very happy. His two of his team cars, Kevin Harvick in the Goodwrench car, the 29, the orange car, Robbie Gordon, the 31, beating and banging on the straightaway, guys. That's not the way to run a 600-mile race, beating on each other.
And his other car, Steve Park, brought out the most recent caution.
You know who's loving every minute of that, don't you? Jeff Green.
Who is in the car that Steve Park used to drive. Car almost in the fence at turn 2.
Not so sure it isn't.
I believe that might be Kevin Harvick.
It
That
is.
Goodwrench car.
Left front tire down, Larry, it looks like.
And that very well could be a product. And the caution is out, so that'll be a big break for Kevin Harvick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car was on pit road, but he's going to lose a lap. He's going to lose a lap. He stopped and went on back out, but he will go a lap down. We're here, and he may have lost that brake rotor.
Yeah, there's no way that car can go with those rotors glowing red like that. They just won't take it.
Steve Burns.
Hey, Mike, and listening to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Erie Jr. on the radio, and they're angry. They need an extra brake rotor from the crash cart, which is in the garage. They're going to have to come down. Junior's going to have to take the steering wheel off. They're going to have to climb into the cockpit of the car and back a bolt out of the brake pedal.
What's the penalty for backing up the length of pit road? Well, they've suffered enough.
Yeah.
There is one. I'm just not real sure what it is. I'd be afraid to say at this point.
It has been a tough night for Dale Earnhardt Jr. We're told there is no penalty. No other cars were impeded.
Right,
by
and
what
he didn't take any equipment out of his pit box with him, so yeah, I'm assuming that's okay.
No one made a lap up that time on our leader, Matt Kenseth.
With these races, it's always funny. It kind of reminds me of Rusty at Richmond the other week. You know, said, well, there hadn't been any cautions. We started this race, ran 100 and some miles with no cautions, but boy, we've had our share of them lately.
A little bit of monkey see, monkey do. Looked like the leaders were not going to come to pit road, and all of a sudden they dove at the last minute, Dick Berggren.
Every time Jimmie Johnson's crew chief, Chad Knaus, has had a chance to fire 4 fresh tires at this car, he has taken that opportunity. He has another chance right now. The sky very black. He wants to go as fast as he can. Matty.
Dick, a wedge adjustment for Bobby Labonte. Also, they shuffle the air pressures on the right side tires. He said the car was just too free. As Mark Armstrong hits the lugs on the left front, the 48 goes by, 24 goes by, as does the 17.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has to go to the garage. Remember, he's second in points coming into this race, and the hesitation in making that decision has cost him. NASCAR is now making that car stay in its pit stall until pit stops are completed and pit road is once again clear before they will allow him to push back to the garage.
Something wrong with Kurt Busch down there, guys.
Uh-oh. Busch was the second place car, and they're looking at the right front.
They go and feel it out.
Apparently he's gotten into something.
And we're correct, it seems it was a team decision to hold that car in his pit rather than get in the way of Kevin Harvick or Jack Sprague pitted behind him. So Dale Earnhardt Jr., number 2 in points. In the garage, Tony Stewart, the Winston Cup champ, has been in and out of the garage. And good pit stop for Jimmie Johnson.
Rick Hendrick.
Getting set for the restart, 2 drivers did not pit on the lead lap. Elliott Sadler, Robbie Gordon, they were not on the lead lap. They're now on the tail end of the lead lap, just in front of our new leader, Jimmie Johnson, from 42nd to 1st.
Took him 243 laps, but he did it.
And don't forget about that 31 car at Richmond. Made up 3 laps to get himself back in the race.
And that is the car he did it with right there. They got that horse running. They run it every week right now.
Robbie Gordon he's out in front of the pack, trying to race 1,100 miles today. At gearbox failure, took him out of the Indy 500. Made it here in time for the start. He had to start 43rd because he missed the driver's meeting for being in Indy. But now he's trying to get back on the lead lap. Steve?
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking underneath the race car. Dale, what can you tell us about the brakes?
Well, I don't know. Broken, I guess.
That sums it up.
Pretty much. Might also include they were real hot.
And I mean,
so
that's very frustrating.
I think it transferred up to the driver.
Here comes Johnson around the outside of Robbie Gordon.
Yeah, Robbie Gordon's car is not very good coming off the corner. He pays the price all the way down the straightaway. But now Jimmie Johnson still have Elliott Sadler in the 38 car in front of him. trying to get back on the lead lap.
Now Kurt Busch, who was up toward the front.
Great job, man. Great job. Nice and smooth.
Kurt Busch had an extended pit stop, so he's back in the pack running 9th. What happened to Kurt Busch?
He actually pitted twice, Mike. What happened? He ran over debris from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car, cut a left front tire, hit the wall. The first stop, the team changed the tires and pulled out the right front fender. The second stop, they set the tow.
Thanks, Matt. Jimmie Johnson, your leader. Matt Kenseth. Right behind, half a second, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin. The highest Dodge in the field is 5th.
Just remember, folks, we still got a long way to go.
There's Marlin battling with Ward Burton, the 22, one of those cars that got caught a lap down, and the 30 of Steve Park.
But I'm going to tell you what, Sterling Marlin, who started pretty deep in the field, he's back up in the top 5 right now in the 5th position. Started back in 36th.
I kind of like this twilight doubleheader format. You get to see a day race, you get to see a night race.
And we have seen a whale of a race so far. I got to tell you, we've had action all night long. Things are happening out here.
Up front, Jimmie Johnson gets past Elliott Sadler and pins that car in wall turn 4.
Yeah, somebody's up against the wall down there. I can't tell who it is. He can't get to pit road.
It's Kurt Busch, the 97 car.
And he can't get to pit road.
He's going to cut across the grass, so we stay green, no caution.
But Busch will go
39, 39, 39. Second gear.
Matt?
He came on the radio, said, I may have a flat right rear tire. His crew is up on the wall. They're waiting for him, but he says he thinks it's a right rear tire flat. Boy, this could be a big night for Matt Kenseth right now in the 17 car. Points leader running in second. His 2 closest competitors, Dale Earnhardt in the garage, Kurt Busch on pit road under green.
Now he's going to have to come from a lap down. Now there's Busch pulling up with that flat tire at the top of your screen.
Looks like the way it's the back end was trying to swing around probably was a right rear tire.
Very lucky to keep it out of the wall. And very lucky that those cars coming at him in turn 4 didn't get into him, because there was a lot of cars behind him.
So Kurt Busch, a threat to win, though he has never finished in the top 10 here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Matt Yoakum.
The team is looking at the tire right now. You can see several gashes. They're going to pressure it up and just to double check, but you can see the gashes on that right rear tire. Not what you want to happen at 190 miles per hour, but I'm going to tell you what, guys, and here we see Matt Kenseth in the 17, Bobby Labonte in 18. Jimmie Johnson, once he got the lead, it's like adios amigos.
Kind of like he did last week in that Winston Million, buddy. He just checked out on him once he got out front. And like we said all the time, that car's fast, been fast all last week. Fast practice, fast, fast, fast. Fast car.
Like you said earlier, Darrell, it took him a year to figure out how to win the All-Star race. Took him a year to figure out how to get to the front of this one.
And I think, once again, it just proves what we've said all along. Nowadays, it doesn't seem to matter where you start. If you got a good race car, you got a good team, you're going to work your way right back to where you start, where you should be.
Dick Berggren.
Well, you're right. Jimmie Johnson has been fast, but this is indeed a team sport. And on the last pit stop, this crew cranked out a 13.3 for gas and 4 tires. They have been consistently fast for Jimmie Johnson. I mean, these guys have it all together. On the racetrack, they're quick. Strategy has been good. Pit stops have been flawless. That's how you win races.
And I tell you what, guys, another car that was a lap down a while ago made his lap up, had a good qualifying run. Our old Mongo, number 7 car, Jimmy Spencer, he's up to 6th position. And then right behind Jimmy, our pole sitter, Ryan Newman, in the 12th car, he's starting to come back now. He's up there in the 7th position.
Let's listen in on Jimmy Spencer and his crew chief, Tommy Baldwin.
Corner, 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 clear, baby. That's it. Sail to the mailman. Let's go, dog.
Oh, no. I know that voice. That was his spotter, Donnie Epling.
Donald Epling, otherwise known as Fat Boy. But he pumps his drivers up. He really does, especially when things are going good. Keeps him pumped up. But I talked to Tommy Baldwin last night, and they were very, very pleased with this race car in final practice yesterday.
Winston Cup champ Tony Stewart spent 30 laps in the garage fixing an engine problem that turned out to be spark plugs. Dale Earnhardt Jr., number 2 in points, by just 20 points coming into this race, is in the garage trying to fix a rear brake problem that put him into the wall, although he stayed on the lead lap for a while. Those brake problems eventually sent him to the garage, and he hopes to return to this race. The only cars out are Kenny Wallace, whose engine disgorged all its fluid over the right side of the car, and several others, and Jeremy Mayfield, who crashed.
Well, those first 5 cars, Larry, looking at the clock over here, they're all running about the same speed. I mean, there's not hardly just about a 10th difference in the first 5.
But what amazes me, Jimmie Johnson, we're at lap 257. 9 laps ago, he turned the fastest lap that he's running this entire race. So the racetrack's getting fast, but he's out front where you can run fast.
And you know what they're probably telling him? Slow down, Jimmy. Slow down a little bit. Save a little something. And he says, I am. Because a lot of times you get out front, you start rolling out of that throttle, coasting down in the corner, your lap times pick up.
For more on the brake problems that have plagued Dale Earnhardt Jr., here's Jeff Hammond.
Mike, one of the things right now that Dale Earnhardt Jr. guys are trying to do, this is the rear part of the brake assembly right here. This is the rear caliper. These are the brake pads. What it looked like is these pads were pinching this rotor so tightly, it superheated the rotor to the point that it failed. They're going to have to take and pull this rotor off, put another rotor on it, but at the same time, they'll need to check this bolt area right here where these bolts go to the rear end housing. More than likely, when he got on the brakes so hard, he bent these brackets. This made this caliper think it had the pressure on it. That's what superheated this rotor, so they'll have to straighten these bolts up as well as replace the caliper and the rotor to get the number 8 car back on the racetrack and try to pick up some valuable points. Mike?
Thanks, Jeff. I believe we may have seen what happened to Kurt Busch. Let's have a look in this replay, and you'll find Busch on the right side of your screen right there. Now, did he bottom out, or did he run over something?
I don't know, we just about had another incident down there, too, Mike.
But you know, if the tire was going down, obviously the car was lowering, and he may have bottomed out because the tire was going down.
Yeah, we got so much happening here all at once. You know, we had a couple of cars get together down in turns 1 and 2 there a lap or 2 ago and took off for the fence. I thought we was going to have a big one, but they saved them.
Rusty Wallace in 15.
See if we can see what happened down there, because it was looking pretty ugly there for a minute. 54 car, and I think it's Jamie McMurray. I think they get together right about there. And, buddy, that was a good job of driving on both guys' part.
Yes, it was. Right in front of Tony Stewart in the 20 and Dave Blaney in the 77 car. Jamie McMurray riding with him right now in the 42 car, and he's about 2 laps down, back in 24th position.
So there are some good contending cars that are needing to try to make some laps up here. Jamie McMurray came in for an injured Sterling Marlin here last October, and to everybody's surprise, won the Winston Cup race here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. You're watching the Coca-Cola 600, the longest oval track race in the world from Lowe's Motor Speedway. We started in daylight. It's now night, but a lot of flashing lights. That is Elliott Sadler, the outside pole sitter, who's come to rest against the outside wall. He climbed out of the car okay. He slid up in the oil in turn 3, as did John Andretti and Larry Foyt, when Ricky Craven's engine appeared to let go.
I was really worried about Elliott there, because, man, Larry, he went hard in that outside wall, way over there in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and the car finally came to rest right here at the start-finish line.
It's the 8th caution flag of the evening.
Yeah, what happened, Ricky Craven, this was going off into turn 3, and Craven got up high right there as the engine expired, let go on him, and then Larry Foyt in the 14 car was right behind him. He gets in the oil. He's going to hit the outside wall, goes up and hits it. And then John Andretti in the 43 car was involved in well. And then what happened when the caution came out, Elliott Sadler in the 38 car was trying to go to the high side around Matt Kenseth and around the leaders to get his lap back. He got in oil and he hit the outside wall.
and rode it around. He hit it in turn 3, ended up here almost right at the start-finish line.
Heavy
very hard lick.
Heavy impact.
All of the leaders have pitted. Now the cars 1 or more laps down are on pit road as we work this 8th caution flag of the night. We started under yellow for 3 laps, drying out the track from earlier rains. We ran 100 laps under green. Then rains came, put us briefly under the red flag, and since then we've had 6 caution flags involving Jeremy Mayfield, Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Steve Park, Kevin Harvick, and this one for Craven's Engine.
And I'm going to tell you, the Coca-Cola 600, she's living up to her reputation right here. You see Greg Biffle in the 16 car, overheating, engine problems. It's about now, Darrell, we start seeing that attrition start to kick in. It wasn't that many laps ago. We only had 2 cars out of this race. Now the list is being added to.
Let's update those pit stops under this caution, beginning with Dick Berggren. We'll get back with Dick in just a moment. He may also be a victim of the attrition. Here's Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, Matt Kenseth said his car had gotten a little bit tight. They took a half pound out of the left side tires, and his main communication to Robbie Reiser was, man, that was a close call on that wreck in front of me. He said, I had all sorts of my hands full of steering wheel. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve, Bobby Labonte entered and left pit road in the 3rd position. He told Fatback that he just needed help from the center of the corner off. The car had just gone to the tight side. They made an air pressure adjustment in the right rear. Dick Berggren?
Well, you've seen tires go down. I had a battery go down right in the middle of that report. Jimmie Johnson's crew just ran another great pit stop. I'll tell you, these guys are so pumped up. They get done with these pit stops. They're high-fiving each other. The only thing they've got to be very, very careful of is that they don't get too overly exuberant. Right now, everything's going just perfectly for Jimmie Johnson.
Johnson the leader, Kenseth 2nd, Bobby Labonte 3rd, Jimmy Spencer, Ryan Newman, Michael Waltrip. And here are the times that they spent on pit road.
Yeah, I mean, a real winner right there. Look at Jimmy Spencer. That group, his car's good, pit crew's good. We've said it over and over. When things are good, everything's good. That's the pit road time. That's the distance down pit road coming in and leaving, including the pit stop. And that's the reason they are in 4th position right now. It wasn't that many laps ago. They were a lap down.
Yeah, and when you're a lap down, you know, it's all gloom and doom. But when you get it back, you get all excited. The crew gets pumped up, and everybody starts doing a better job.
Confidence goes up.
Old Mongo started wagging his tail.
Ryan Newman back up on the lead lap. Michael Waltrip having a solid night. He is 6th. Sterling Marlin, who won here a year and a half ago, in 7th. Jeff Gordon in 8th. Those are your lead lap cars. And a big group 1 lap down. The McDonald's Drive-Through Championship fueled by Powerade. Those are the standings among the teams that choose to participate in that competition after 11 races. We're under caution, lap 268, 400 miles.
Fox welcomes you back to Lowe's Motor Speedway. Next week, the scene shifting to Dover. Another full weekend of racing. Friday, the Busch Series on speed. Winston Cup qualifying and Truck Series. Saturday, NASCAR Busch Series racing. The MBNA Armed Forces Family 200, followed by NASCAR Winston Cup practice on FX. And Sunday, NASCAR this morning. And then Winston Cup racing with the MBNA Armed Forces Family 400. That's on FX. NASCAR returning next weekend across the Fox family of networks. Time now for a Visa race break. And if you haven't been with us all evening, we have 130 laps to go. Jimmie Johnson, your leader over Matt Kenseth. Earlier in the day, Tony Stewart. Seemed like the guys who led early, like Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman, during the daylight as the sun set or faded, so did their chances in this race. Ricky Rudd, watching the 21 car, runs out of gas and then goes for a wild ride. Here's mud in your eye. He was okay, got back in the race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. running as high as 2nd when Jeff Hamlin, he hit the wall, and then after that it caused problems with his brakes.
Yeah, what he did, actually, you see right there, the brake rotor itself were pinned. Bracket bent. When it did, it superheated the rotor, and the rotor failed.
Steve Park having problems, spinning all alone, bringing out another caution. So far, we've had 8 cautions, 5 since lap 200. And then moments ago, Elliott Sadler, John Andretti, Ricky Craven, Larry Floyd, all involved here.
Yeah, what happened right there is that Ricky Craven lost an engine, and his other cars got in his oil, and up in the wall they went. And Elliott Sadler, he really hit hard, but I think we got some good news on him.
Yeah, still the endurance test continues. Let's check in with Dick Bergman.
With Elliott Sadler, just left the medical center. You okay?
Yeah, I'm a little sore. My neck's a little sore, I think, from hitting the wall. But as far as my sides and my shoulders and all are great. Those little joy seats saved me pretty good, but that was a hard hit, and it's a shame. We had a very fast race car, got caught on those green flag pit stops, but definitely had a top 5 car. I just can't get that particular car to finish the race. It's fast, but we just had some bad luck. So sorry to Pedigree guys and all the Yates fans. We'll try to get them at Dover.
Yeah, now that car started on the outside of the front row at Texas. You led the most laps there, got involved in an accident, not your own doing. Started on the outside of the front row here. What do you think? This car shouldn't start on the outside of the front row?
I'm not going to complain if it keeps qualifying second. And it's a shame because I really don't have another car that's just like that one in the shop. So I pretty much trashed our best car, but I didn't know. I just hit oil in turn 3. I didn't know it was oil there, and I'd made a deal with Jimmy. He was going to let me have my lap back if I let him go, and I was just rushing back to get my lap back, and I hit oil, and wow, it just took off. So it don't handle too good at 180 miles an hour on an oil slick. So just a shame. I feel sorry for the guys in the shop. Had a great motor again. It was definitely going to make it the whole way. Just go get them at Dover. Just going to kill us in the points. We got to get back in this thing.
See you next week. Thank you. Chris?
Hi, back with Jeff Hammond here in the Hollywood Hotel, continuing the Visa race break. So we've seen some brake problems with Earnhardt Jr. Right. You heard Elliott Sadler moments ago. Spark plug problems with Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, flat tire, and we still have about 200 miles to go as Jeff Gordon pulls into the pits. It's the endurance test here. We're seeing the wear and tear, Jeff.
We really are out there, and you see probably a pretty smart move right there with the 24 car. He's the last one on the lead lap, so they come on down. Robbie Loomis decided to top Jeff Gordon off, put him in a better position to go, maybe a little extra in case he needs it. But tonight, I mean, we always talk about it. This is an endurance test, not only for the car, but for the man and for your patience. You've got to be willing to sustain this entire 600 miles, you know, if you want to win this race.
Yeah, 8 cars on the lead lap. Let's check in with Steve Burns.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And Jeff, you're right about that. I wanted to note on the stop prior to that, Jeff was complaining that he couldn't make the car turn. So they came in and pulled a spring rubber out of the right rear spring. He says he could not get on the throttle the way he wanted to exiting the corner. Matt Yoakum.
We're down in the 15 pit talking to Slugger Levy. Now, you're waiting to dial up the weather to take a look at the radar. First off, how's your race car, Slugger?
Everything seems to be pretty good. It takes us about 5 laps to get going. We got a pretty crazy setup, and I guarantee you no one's got nothing else like that. But same car we had in Winston, run real good with it, qualified well. Every practice has been fast, and car's been loose, been tight, been back and forth. So we made another air pressure adjustment here, and hopefully we can hang with them.
We'll let you get back and look at the radar here as it pops up in another few minutes. Chris?
All right, thanks. That's a Slugger Labby. Earlier we heard from Fatback and Fat Boy, and you got all kinds of characters here tonight, don't
Wait a minute, wait, all kinds of characters. Well, you're the only character that I know of is here tonight. We got a bunch of hardcore racers out there right now.
Those are real those are nicknames. I think if their families are watching, don't they want to hear their real names?
And there's Junior Paxton right there. His real name is Jeff. But I mean, all these kind of things. I mean, just these guys all have different names.
These are all the people who are behind the Richard Labby, Slugger Labby, right? People who work behind the scenes. You were, of course, former crew chief, but you were also a jack man.
Exactly right. At one time I was a jack man, and I was pretty good at it. That's where the nickname Hollywood came from.
Yeah, and people said, you don't know Jack, man. Real quick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., I want to talk about, finish up on what happened with the brakes there, and he's back in the race, or at least preparing to get back in.
Yeah, they were able to effect repairs and got everything re-shimmed and replaced the rotor, re-dialed everything in as far as the brakes were concerned. They've got him back on the racetrack again, trying to save his valuable points, but we were talking a second ago, Slugger Labby and all these guys are starting to watch the weather. They talked about high winds coming down I-85, which is only just maybe a couple miles from the racetrack. So we're going to be waiting to see where this weather gets here before we can end this race.
And it's worth pointing out again, the leader in the last 5 races here in the Coca-Cola 600, the leader at the 500-mile mark has failed to win the race. So just because somebody is hanging on there doesn't mean they can cash in.
Yep, you see it's starting to rain right now.
Yep, starting to rain at Lowe's Motor Speedway. And again, we're at least official here, should they have to stop this. But we have lights and plenty of racing to go. Hollywood Hammond is with me here, and we'll be back on Fox in a moment.
Can't race these cars in the rain. No wipers, no grooves in the tires, and not fun for the fans to watch.
No, and it's unfortunate the rain came because things are really heating up here. You know, getting close to the end of the race, and golly, it's really setting up to be an exciting finish.
Jimmie Johnson and Matt Kenseth talking it over.
Here you see the weather map. Right here, we're located right in there, and that's the cell we're fighting right now. And, of course, back in here, it's, you know, it's clear all behind it. So I think this will be a brief clearing shower.
Yeah, I was told about 10 minutes, and then maybe it'd clear up, and we'd go again. But we got to dry the racetrack now, so that's going to take a little time.
You know, when I look at those two guys right there, Jimmie Johnson leading the race, it'd be his first win of the season inside the Winston All-Star race. But Matt Kenseth, the points leader, the two guys closest to him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is back in 41st, back in the garage right now. And Kurt Busch is 15th. Matt Yoakum, what's going on down there?
Well, we're in the 7 pit with Tommy Baldwin. You're cracking the numbers here. First off, what are you guys looking at?
Well, we're a little short on fuel, so we're definitely going to have to come in if they go back to green here. We need about 4 more caution laps, so I don't know if they'll give it to us. We're going to have to not take any chances and come in and, you know, end up 8th in the lead lap and try to pass some cars after that.
Well, not to jinx you, but we were talking earlier about how you've had a lot of bad luck this year. It looks like it's starting to turn here in Charlotte.
I sure hope so. I mean, we got a good race team. Jimmy Spencer's a great race car driver. Sirius, you know, Sirius Satellite's a great sponsor. We just need a break here, and hopefully we can use this momentum after tonight and move forward.
Now, you've won the Southern 500, the Daytona 500. What would it mean to win the Coca-Cola World 600?
That would be big, you know. It'd be big. It'd be a good boost for the team here, you know. Forget about me. It's all about team effort, and you know, these guys have done a great job, and you know, they've kept in there all year with all our problems, and we know we're a top 15 team week in and week out. We've been 13th or better every race when we've had problems, so we know where we're at. We just got to start finishing the deal, and hopefully tonight we can.
Baldwin and company trying to knock down their first top 5 finish this season. Steve?
Hey, Matt, we're with Chad Knaus, and Chad was just saying, wow, it's raining hard.
I'll tell you what, you know, normally I don't care for rainouts too much, but boy, I hope this stays all night. I hope it rains for the next 2 days, you know. But the Lowe Chevrolet's running great. You know, we started dead last on the field, and we're leading this thing, and we've been running really competitive all day. So if we can win here, you know, the Coca-Cola 600 Lowe's Motor Speedway, that'd be awesome.
Chad, you guys have been great in all phases of the game. Pit stop, strategy, the race car itself, really been on top of it.
It's been a total team effort from the time that we unloaded here. When we got here last week, the guys did a great job preparing the Winston car. Went back home, took the information that we gained from the Winston, applied it to the Coca-Cola 600 car, brought this car. We were fastest in pre-qualifying practice. Unfortunately, we lost an engine, so we didn't get to make our qualifying lap. I think that we had a good shot at sitting on the pole, and you know, it's just great. The car's tremendous. Jimmy's doing a really good job.
Chad, how hard was it? How difficult for you and your team and Jimmy when you had that problem in qualifying?
It was real
you guys were so fast in practice.
Yeah, it was real hard for me because I ran all the way from the truck out to pit road. I was out of breath when I got there. But, you know, it's one of those things that happens. You know, Hendrick engines, they do a tremendous job there. You know, they're always looking and trying to gain more. And you're going to have things like that happen. So it hurts a little bit. You lose a little bit of momentum. But that's a good thing about this team and Jimmy. They don't get down. They just keep motoring forward, and it pays off.
Thanks, Chad. Let's go to Dick Bergeron.
With Sterling Marlin currently running in 7th spot. Big smile on your face. You want the rain to stop, huh?
Well, I mean, we got a good car if we can ever get some track position. We got to restart, you know, about 10th every time. You know, running 5th and restart 10th, you got to race all the lap cars. And by the time you get clear, you know, they're going in 3 and you're coming off 2. And you can click them off. And, you know, from 40 laps on, really got a good car. We got the best car there. But, you know, Michael got out of the car. We come in running 4th, 5th. And had a 13-second stop and got beat out of the pits for 3 cars. I said, you bunch of damn cheaters.
They're just making their pit stops too fast.
Pit road, so I cheated a little bit. They still beat me.
Hey, we were talking a little bit while ago on the broadcast about how you qualified so poorly, qualified the back of the pack, and the car just seems so fast tonight. Tell us, please, what did you do to the car?
We really ain't done nothing. I mean, we just changed a few springs on it, but I don't know if it's me. You know, if you look historically where we qualify bad, and you know, when they drop a flag, we're coming up the front. And Earnhardt got in a qualifying slump a few years ago and drop a rag and he'd go to front. So it's kind of like we're doing. But if we can get qualified good, we got a chance to win some races this year. So we just got to work on the qualifying. Whether I got to go to a hypnotist and get hypnotized or something. If you're going to qualify, so we can do better. I don't know.
And for those of you who may be watching your first ever automobile race, dropping the rag is what they say for dropping the green flag to start the race. Chris?
All right, thanks, Dick Bergeron, and don't go anywhere because we do want to wish you officially Tuesday is your birthday, and I don't want to say you're old, but Dick Bergeron knew the Dead Sea when it was just getting sick. So,
Chris, it has taken me a long time. It's taken my whole life to get here, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
No, happy birthday. Once Dr. Dirt, he used to drive late models. Now you're dating him. So from all of us,
whoa. You didn't get it right. He's a sprint car racer.
I'm sorry. He's a sprint car. Hammond is helping. But seriously, from all of us and people who watch racing, we enjoy your work and appreciate it. Happy birthday a little bit early from all of us, Dick.
Well, thank you, Chris. I just hope you buy me a very expensive present so I can celebrate properly.
I'll call on Hammond for that.
We got him something. We've already got him.
We have a surprise here.
That's what I'm afraid of.
All right. Let's go to Steve Burns.
All right, thanks, guys. Well, Ward Burton, you guys are running pretty good. You're in the top 10. You want to get this thing restarted, don't you?
If we could get back in lead lap, we'd have a lot to gain. We actually, because of when the 21 car missed the pit lane down there, what got us in the mode of trying to stay on lead lap. But car's a lot better than it was Thursday, obviously, and I'm really happy with the guys that we've been able to adjust on it. I had a feel yesterday that I could give them the right information, but certainly didn't have that Thursday.
All right, thanks a lot, Ward. Appreciate you stopping by. Let's go to Matt.
And Jimmy Spencer wiping some of the rain off the face. What about that Dodge car?
Well, first of all, Chris Myers should not be picking on an experienced race car driver, doctor, the whole 9 yards.
He's got it all.
He's all wrapped all in one. But all in all, you know, the Sirius team has worked really, really hard. I cannot say enough about Tommy Baldwin and his boys there. Jimmy Smith putting this bunch of guys together. I love him, man. He's happiest guy in the garage area. Most of all, just hard work. You know, we've made a lot of mistakes this year, and Tommy said we can't keep making these mistakes. And tonight, they didn't make any. We feel we got the car adjusted to the right direction now. I was giving him some information, but Tommy thinks we had too much camber, little odds and ends, and he's adjusted at every pit stop. And made our lap back up. Now I think we can race them, so we'll see.
Well, I don't want to really say how many races it's been since you've been to victory lane, but do you have a shot at the 48?
We won't know that until we get back to racing. He's fast. Bobby Labonte's really fast. Matt Kenseth's fast. You know, 4th place to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th there. We're all pretty close, but we're going to take a gamble. I mean, we're going to throw some stuff at her, you know. I mean, Mongo says, I'm close. I see him. I smell him. Let's give me something. So Tommy's listening, and he's giving him all he can give him, and we're not giving up by any means.
And what's that?
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
1994.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I ain't forgot where the winner's circles are at.
Exactly. Jimmy Spencer, he's been there before. He's hoping to go there again tonight.
Thanks, Matt. We're under the red flag, and you note that the rain has stopped, just as Darrell predicted.
Yeah, I said about 10 minutes. We'll be drying the track, and we'll be back to racing here about midnight. No, way before then. I was just kidding. Hey, there's a lot of cats got birthdays right here, you know, in this month here. Ricky Craven, Bobby Hamilton, Chip Ganassi, Jeremy Mayfield, Jimmy Means, Bud Moore, Ken Schrader, Tony Stewart, and Smokey Yumi.
And add Brandon McReynolds to that list. Turned 12 last Wednesday.
So, and Paul Andrews. I mean, it's a busy birthday month.
My son Scott is 4.
It is a busy birthday month. But I'm going to tell you what, we get this thing back going, and I'm confident we will. This racetrack will definitely be fast and different then.
Jimmy didn't look very happy about the rain stopping, did he?
Well, we got 3 slightly soggy pit reporters. Let's see if Dick Berggren's celebrating that birthday tonight.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to celebrate for a week. When you get as old as I have, you know, you just celebrate nonstop. Matt Kenseth running in 2nd spot right now. You got anything for the 48, Jimmie Johnson?
I don't know. 48's pretty good. 18 seems real good. Those are the guys I've been racing with recently, and I think we're okay, too. So my last run wasn't really my best run. The run before that was, so hopefully we got the car back how it was, and we can get racing again and see what happens.
How has the track changed as this night has unfolded?
Well, probably everybody's car is a little different, but my car started a little loose earlier today, and it kept getting tighter, and I've basically been loosening the car up all night, and 2 runs ago I finally got it too loose, and then I went back to the tighter side, and it's pretty neutral right now.
And we're also with Ryan Newman, started on the pole, currently running in 5th spot. You got a smile on your face. Happy with your car?
We're still running. That's one of the good things about today, for sure. You know, it's Altel Dodge is pretty good. We've been fighting a little traffic and lap cars and things like that, trying to get our way back up. And I think we can be fast and have a chance to contend for the win if we get the opportunity.
What's the behavior of that race car been? You tight, you loose? What's it doing?
Same basic scenario as what Matt just said, only we started off a little bit on the tighter side and didn't have to worry about the looseness, and just been freeing it up, and it didn't free it up enough at the start there, and then that's what got us back along with a bad pit stop. But overall, the guys have done a good job to fight back and to get us in the top 5. I hope we get a chance to finish it, but if we don't, top 5's nice too.
How important are fresh tires tonight?
they're really important, but you got to be up front where you can use them. If you're in the back, fresh tires is just like everybody else. It's no fun in dirty air.
Can this race be won with a two-tire stop toward the tail end?
Yeah, if it rains afterwards.
Thank you. Mike?
This is kind of like golfers between rounds, comparing their rounds, comparing their cars.
Yeah, I think they're all taking a vote right now and saying, what do you think? Do you want to call it? I think most of them would probably agree that that wouldn't be a bad thing. There's Michael and Slugger Labby there. They're having a great night. Two-time Daytona 500 winner. Top 10 in the points this year, doing a great job.
Had a great day yesterday with his Busch car. Just looked like he was going to drive away with it and then had some engine problems.
We'll remind you can get your official NASCAR on Fox and Hollywood Hotel merchandise only at foxsports.com. Keyword official.
Larry.
I think you guys need some new music.
I used to wear my hair like that when I was about 2. Obviously now I don't have that much hair, so it'd be hard to wear it that way.
Darrell, I want to talk a little about what Elliott Sadler said as he climbed out of that car, and the music, thankfully, dies away. The Butler-built seat that was the standard when you won your championships and won 5 600s supported the rib cage for the side loads, and the new Randy LaJoie developed seat that Sadler talked about, it primarily captures the shoulder area instead of the ribs.
Yeah, and the Butler seat also. And what they've learned is the shoulders obviously can take a whole lot more of an impact than the rib cage can. And so now the seats have these braces that come around, and you lean on the seat with your shoulders, very little mid-riff protection around the rib cage. The shoulder hits that thing, and it keeps you in the seat. And then with the head and neck restraint, keeps your neck from going off in somewhere they don't want it to. So many things are so much better now than they were just 4 or 5 years ago. As a matter of fact, I used to drive in a van seat. Banjo Matthews take seats out of vans, the little flat bottom seat, and that's what Earnhardt and I used for years. But the new seats, I just know from my truck racing, you can't fall out of the seat. Hammond's always kidding me about, you're getting old and getting out of shape, you'll fall out of the seat. You can't fall out of one of them.
Well, Larry, now we've got a wet racetrack for the second time tonight and for the third time today. To get this race restarted, what do you want to do to that race car, and how are you going to evaluate what the track's like now? It's all different.
What I've seen from past experience, when this racetrack gets washed off like this, especially at night, it's going to gain a little bit of grip. It's going to be very fast. We're going to see some fast lap times. Also, what I've seen is the track, the rubber will be gone again. It'll be a little bit loose. But I want to follow up on one thing, and I know we still have 124 laps to go. But, Darrell, you did it in 1985. I was a part of doing it in 1991. And that's pulling the double here and winning both of them. Winning the Winston All-Star race and winning the Coca-Cola 600, that means a lot to a race team.
Twice prior to tonight, this race has been shortened by rain. Buddy Baker won it in '68. Jeff Gordon won it in '97. Speedway and NASCAR officials have conferred, and for the safety of the fans getting home, they are not going to take what they estimate would be 3 hours in this damp air and damp ground to dry the track. The race is official. Jimmie Johnson won $1 million last Saturday night, and he banks the Coca-Cola 600 tonight. Matt.
And call it a home turf win for Jimmie Johnson from the back to the front. Congratulations, Coke 600 winner.
I can't believe we did this here at Lowe's Motor Speedway in Lowe's, Monte Carlo. We knew we were going to have a great race car again, but coming from the back, we didn't.
Right here. He's the master of this place.
We didn't know what was going to happen, and I'm just so proud of this entire race team, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. We've been able to count on our great pit stops. The last two had us out in the lead both times. Great engines, great bodies, great race cars, great teamwork, and great support from Lowe's. I'm dumbfounded. I expected to be donuts on the front stretch and burnouts and all, but this is very cool.
Now, you told me building up to this weekend that what happened last year, you could have won both races last year. You were a man on a mission. You wanted to sweep them, and you did. How much was that on your mind playing up to this weekend?
Well, really, the success we had last year, we did so well, but we didn't close the deal. And this year, having a different mindset of wanting to be competitive and work on the race car all day long, but have some patience and be up front when it counts and play this game of smarts a little bit more and patience a little bit more. And we used our head in the Winston, used our head all day long today, and raced here at the end when we had to. Had some great pit stops, and here we are with a win.
What's it mean to win your first NASCAR Crown Jewel event? Because the Coke 600 is one of the Crown Jewel races.
You're right. That's forgot about that. but this track is so hard to drive, and this track has given me so much trouble in a Busch car and even in a Winston Cup car. I mean, I've crashed here and have never really been that good at this racetrack until now, and it's just experience. You need experience around here, and it's able to work.
How does it feel to win with a little bit of rain falling? Is it? Are you okay with it?
Were you third?
No.
And you've had some experience with that, too.
Yeah, I just wanted
the rain worked for me this time.
Are you okay with it?
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
You're going to walk away with a clear conscience that you won?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you at Daytona?
Perfectly.
Okay.
Congratulations.
All right, congratulations, Jimmie Johnson, Coca-Cola 600 winner. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. Mike Helton joins us. He's the president of NASCAR, and I know it is your goal to get a full race in for the fans if you can. Give us some of the factors that led to the decision tonight to call this one at 414 miles.
Well, what we're faced with right now, it's 9:30, and based on the experience we had Friday, which took us a little over 4 hours to get the track dried under pretty hazy conditions and everything, and tonight without any sun, the conditions, more weather on its way. The grounds around here have been annihilated all day long with rain and everything. So for fans and the policemen to help get the traffic out, if we'd had no rain the rest of the night, although there's more forecasted, it would take us at least 3 hours, and that's 12:30 getting started back, and enough's enough. And we would have loved to have got all 600 miles in and had a great race at the finish, but sometimes it just doesn't work out right.
No, I think you've done a great job, Mike, of getting us to this point in the race, because we have fought this all day long, all weekend long, really. I think you've done a great job.
It's been a tough deal, but unfortunately, sometimes Mother Nature wins at the end of the day, but I think everybody else hopefully will understand. Jimmie certainly does. But we did everything we could. Humpy and his folks here at the Speedway did everything they could to host the event under the conditions they had all week long. Just horrendous rain here. So we'll close the books on this one and head to Dover.
And Mike, with it being 9:30 p.m. and you mentioned it taking three and a half hours, I mean, there has to be a driver fatigue factor out here racing at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Certainly at the crews up and down pit road, the drivers, and the staff at the facility here, the policemen that have to help get the traffic out of here and everything. There's a big...
Coca-Cola 600 has become America's gathering place every Memorial Day weekend. One of the hottest tickets in sports. And if you can't be one of the 200,000 people to be here in person, you can see it on Fox.